Hello. Hello, everybody. We're super fucking late. We're so late. We're pissing positive. Hey guys, it's me.
Testing positive for COVID-19. I don't know how that was really funny.
I don't know. I started laughing. It's like, no, it's not that funny. But then I couldn't breathe. I feel it's because I'm almost choking on my gum, man. I'm gonna spit out this fucking gum. This is twice in the last 3 days I have potentially almost died because of my fucking hyena laughter. Oh god. Hello guys. It's TopKek number 6. I'm here with JLongb0ne. Say hi, Jay.
What's up?
And with AimbotAimy, who is
Hello.
ready to... Both who are witches ready to help me bully me and myself and each other. We talk about dumb shit because the world is broken and all in fire still. I mentioned before multiple times, and some of y'all have covered it, so I have to talk about this because now I've been forced to talk about it. But I'm only going to talk about it for like 2 to 3 minutes. I went on a broadcast with Poe onto Digital Blackface, where I presented a video of mine as part of evidence about something that eventually became the most retarded form of internet blood sports I have ever been a witness or contributor to. And then, the video in question got taken down. It's currently been flagged as a warning from YouTube for supposedly violating the community guidelines for impersonation, which did not happen in said video. That video can now be found on my BitChute at bitchute.com/singleplayercarl, and you can watch it for yourself and see whether or not I have done anything wrong. Mainly, I want to see if it's been done because of something that's happening. I won't talk about that. But, much like before, I would have said, but even before any of this shit happened, I'm going to say now, especially if you're watching there in the audience. If you are upset with things that are happening with the riots and with the state of the world right now, it is okay for you, it is very valid for you, to choose to not want to look at it, not want to talk about it, and not want to be concerned with it because you don't want to be involved with it. It does not make you complicit with silence or violence because you choose to not look at stupidity. It is very dumb. It is very dumb what's happening. It's very important what's happening. The streets are talking for themselves for the first time in like my entire life that I've seen shit happen like this. I remember feeling like this when I watched videotape footage of the LA riots. I felt like this every time any riot has ever happened in my life now. And now we're watching something happen because of somebody who should not have died. I don't care if they were supposedly a criminal who had done things. I don't care what drugs they were on. That man did not deserve to have his neck pressed down upon for 8 minutes and 48 seconds, or 46 seconds. None of the people who have now died because of those riots deserve to have this happen to them. And any person who's saying that that's okay and that all cops are bastards, please reconsider jumping off of a cliff. Just saying. Just saying. But here, on my channel, we will be your safe harbor. This will be your safe space to laugh and to love and to cringe. Now, without further ado, let's start the show, everyone. I said as I put another piece of gum in my mouth. Honestly, I've not had alcohol to drink, so I've decided that I was gonna go to a dollar store and buy gum to chew, and I've been chewing so much fucking gum because I just need alcohol to get through all of this. I don't know how I'm functioning right now, other than with caffeine. I said this earlier on my stream, before I started this, that I went to my local Starbucks, and I asked the barista, she was a very nice mixed woman, who was very stressed because all of the white people would not leave her the fuck alone, asked about some goddamn chai coffee, and she had no grande cups. And I asked her, hey, may I please have enough caffeine to drop a horse? And she did a double take, because the first thing I said to her was good morning, and she thought that I yelled at her. And she felt so bad, because she was getting wound up to try and give me the biggest fuck you possible. And then she realized, oh wait, you were being nice to me? No one's been nice to me all day. And I'm like, oh my god, no, please. You sweet bean. And then she's like, okay, so we don't have any of this. I don't have any grande cups, but I can do what you're asking for. How do you want it? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, well, do you want it in a French vanilla? Do you want it in a, oh, you mean that? Oh, French vanilla, please. And she's just like, okay, this is supposed to usually cost $10, but I'm gonna charge you $3.57 because I like you. I'm like, aww. Then I said,
Nigga, can we get that Starbucks down here, please? I don't think we have Starbucks here, but I want a Starbucks so they charge me $3 because they like me.
I mean, I was nice to her, and it was already rude people. There was a whole bunch of white women, and it was literally just nothing but white women. White women and their daughters, girls, and their friends. And one particularly nasty fucking bitch named Meredith. And I know because she was working at the store, because it's a Starbucks that's inside of a Target. Meredith was such a bitch to this woman. Because she was just like, oh, do you have my order ready? I paid for this 2 hours ago, and you're still not done, Nicole. I'm like, bitch, I will slag you in your nasty fucking mouth if you keep yelling at this cocoa butter queen. Shut up! So she gives me my drink, and I leave, and I'm sitting on the sidewalk, and I'm looking at this police officer and his partner, trying to figure out where this dude is, because there's some woman who stole some shit at a Steinmart that's like right across the place from the bodega that they were waiting out for. Because apparently something happened involving some woman going into Steinmart and trying to steal clothes during the coof. Like, wait outside, because they're parked out there, because that's where they left the getaway car. And we're just having a full conversation, laughing at commies, because the autonomous zone is retarded. And they finally catch them, and they're talking to them in the car, and I'm just sitting there just sipping away at my coffee. Iced coffee. Good coffee. And he and I are just exchanging looks, because it was a white officer with salt and pepper hair, and here I am, this black youth that clearly knows what's going on, looking at fucking Twitter and shit with my headphones in, listening to my vaporwave, and he's like, did you walk all the way out here? And I'm like, yeah, man, I exercise. Like, damn, make sure you drink a lot of water. I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'm ahead of that. Fucking laughing my ass on the way down as they fucking drive by to go take him away to book him. And it's like a great start to my week. Then followed by the monotony that was my morning today, where I tried to get up, I tried to do a stream, and then as soon as everything was perfect, everything was right, I was prepared, sidelined. I had almost no time hello, Stefan, hi. I had almost no time whatsoever to have anything done. Didn't get to do anything I wanted to do as I wanted to do it. Because I stayed up late last night because I had insomnia, and my insomnia decided, guess what, motherfucker, you ain't sleeping tonight. Get on your ass and play the fucking video game, like the bitch you are. All that happened. All that happened, and now here we are to talk about things. I don't know if I'll have anything to show you guys with anything on the screen, so I have some memes up there. I hope you guys enjoy those memes. I think they're good memes. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about some shit. It's gonna be fun. You guys ready? I'm stoked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, real talk, before we even went live, folks, we spent at least an hour and a half just shooting the shit while I tried to work out the thumbnail for this video, for the VOD later. And we had things, and something came up for us to discuss, and I want to discuss it, because I think it's good for us to talk about. So, Jay, the thing that I said that we were going to do. So, you watched Artemis Fowl.
Yes.
And I watched Underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And we both watched Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
So, we're going to try to tell each other about these films in full detail. So, spoiler alerts, everybody. If you don't want to hear about it, you might want to dip for like 15 minutes or so. But we're going to talk about these films in full detail. I'm going to let you go first, because I already talked way too fucking much about Underwater before. And then we're going to talk about Birds of Prey, and then I'm going to talk about Underwater. And to give some context, if y'all didn't know, Disney Plus, along with every other fucking person who's deciding to push everything to streaming to VOD, decided that instead of trying to wait for these theaters to reopen, because they're not, Like, I keep, every time I have to go shopping, I have to walk by this place called Hollywood Connection, which is supposed to be like an adult's version of Chuck E. Cheese. They have been closed since the coup started. I'm not sure what their business was before, but the building's there. But there is no movie posters up whatsoever. And there's another one down on the strip. Another theater that's like that. That was bought out by the same people for AMC. Because originally it was Carmack Cinemas. And I don't know anything about the Carmack family. But when they sold that shit to AMC, which is obviously Chinese owned, they immediately dipped out of town. And all we had left was AMC shit everywhere. So they're the only ones that operate. They're the only ones that operate any and all of the theaters down here where I live in the South. And if I don't see it in a theater, I see it online. So when the coup happened, I had applied to jobs at both locations, and only after 2 months into the coup did they get back to my shit and say, "Oh, we're sorry, but because of the coronavirus, we are not going to be able to employ anybody at this time. Please wait in the future when we will be able to get back to you in March." They did not get back to me. So now I'm trying to go and get another job, but since then I've just been watching shit, and I've been watching the entire thing with the cinema business kind of go tits up, because I think they did not expect for this to be as big as a problem, because obviously they didn't. But oh my god, theaters, how are we ever gonna watch films again?
Yeah, especially now that, because my theater just got renovated, and there's these like plush leather recliners that are so fucking, and I've only been there like a couple times since it happened, and I was really looking forward to seeing some good ass, and especially now that I'm making more money off YouTube, I was gonna go see some movies and just chill, air conditioning and leather reclining seats, and now it's just over until next. Now I gotta sit in this musty ass house and watch fucking Tenet on bootleg. Great.
I almost only watch most of the films that I see on bootleg because it's just more convenient. I get to stop it, I get to start it, I get to decide what version I get. I get to see whatever subtitles it has. I can make my own subtitles. It's great. Everything that I want out of my movie experience, I get to have at home and not be allowed.
And it's free.
And it's free. And not have to pay $32 for a film experience.
Right. I mean, like, I'll put in money on a worthwhile movie, like anything Christopher Nolan puts out. And like certain filmmakers, like Tarantino, Nolan, and a few other ones. Like, they're the only movies that I will go out. But other than that, it's like, well, let's see if this movie shit or not. That's always my go to the bootleg site and just watch it there, test it out. Let's see what this is, because I'm not wasting. I've wasted money on bad movies before. I mean, I can name because they were so bad and I was so fucking regretful walking out of the fucking theater. Yeah, it was Green Lantern.
Oh God,
The Haunting. Yeah, Green Lantern, The Haunting. Oh God, Suicide Squad. It wasn't, well, Suicide Squad. It wasn't that bad, but it's like when I think about it now, it's like I shouldn't have spent money on that. Yeah, Suicide Squad, and there's a couple other ones I can't really think of right now. But yeah, those are the top 3 bad movies that I've seen in theater.
Oh, for me, the last bad movie I can at least remember watching was definitely Suicide Squad. In my theater, we made it better because we just shat on that film the entirety of the time that everybody was there, because everybody knew it was gonna be bad going in. Because I was lucky enough to get the theater full of people who actually read the comics, and fortunately, it's like the bottom row was all the fat nerds, the middle row was almost all of the black nerds, with a couple of them at the top making bootlegs. Because nigga, you already know. Nigga, you already know. Gotta get at us. And then smart ass motherfuckers with loud fucking voices at the top, like Chris Tucker like voices, like mine.
Yeah. Like, stereotypical, like, don't go in there
like
type shit.
Yeah, all of them at the top. All of us, like, it's funny. Like, all of the fat people at the bottom, basically had too many snacks. They had too many snacks, so it's just like, take a piece, pass it up. Take a piece, pass it up. The entire theater was cracking open soda cans. Fucking get the fucking shit. It's like they bought $1,000 worth of food, but it was at least $50 from the local Dollar Tree. And I went there afterwards to check because I wanted to grab some jujubes, because the only place where you can grab some jujubes is there's these small, like, tiny dot-like candies, but small and even compressed and chewier, is to get them from Dollar Tree. This is the only place you can get this from this particular confectionery. Some of them do have them, some of them don't have them, but every single fucking Dollar Tree was empty. They literally grabbed the display box, put it in a bag, counted out on a calculator how much they were supposed to owe, and gave $100 plus and said, take it, keep it, we're gonna deal it. They go to the theater, they have somebody who's got the side door open for them. They had friends. These just planned this shit out. They go to the theater, they get stacked up with a table in the front, because they were really sitting towards the bottom, so they just had this shit.
Whoa, wait. So you tell me,
yes,
I couldn't
yes.
follow. I was following it weird at first, but like you tell me these fat motherfuckers were at the bottom of right in front of the screen with a big ass like middle school cafeteria table of fucking food.
Yes, bitch. Yes. Like they had. Like, for one of these guys, I thought they were really fat. No, they just happened to have a giant fucking garbage bag, tied to their leg. They were fat, but they weren't that fat. Tied to their leg of their foot, well, what I thought was their fupa area. You just take off these fucking bags, and they have some gym shorts underneath, and this is this garbage bag full of candy.
How can you? Look, I would try. Like, I would do the same thing. We go to Dollar Tree, we get some stuff, put it in our bag. Like, not too much stuff because we want to cause a ruckus. Because, like, if they know you got, they'll fucking fucking, and like, it's so, like, it was hard for me and my sister when we go to the movies to, like, just, like, a little row of cookies. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, do that, like, and eat that shit undercover because they would still catch you, even if they're not even in there. It's like they got a camera on you or something. But fucking heifers like came with garbage bags and just put it on the table.
See, in our theaters, they just don't fucking care. They just don't fucking care. They look at the receipt sometimes and they're like, yeah, we know, like we're just supposed to tell you, but nigga, we don't care. Nigga, take two.
So is there a movie theater in like in a metropolitan city, or is it like the suburbs type thing?
It is. It's weird. It's like a mixture of a tri-state area. It's very much the urban side. It's like you've got the hood, you have the suburbanites, and then you have like a college town all rolled into one where I live. I don't want to say where it is, but we're 2 hours away from Atlanta. So it's very much the same kind of culture you'd get in Atlanta, and nobody out here gives a shit. It's weird. It's like racism does happen out here, but occasionally you might hear an old elderly white woman say nigga, and it'll be the most casual shit you ever hear. And that woman also cooks your food at your local Waffle House, every single Waffle House on that corner. She's the night manager for all of them, and she has a husband who also drops these N-words casually, and every member of the staff is black. Except for the one white girl who comes from the trailer park who has a husband who's black, who is more blacker than I am. Everything I just said is a fact. And that is the environment where niggas got lookouts waiting for a side door to open so they can help their friends set up a smorgasbord and mukbang of candy.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm surprised they didn't film a fucking mukbang while they were in there. Man, we up in here, we watching Suicide Squad, we got the mukbang shit, we got the chicken tender, we got M&M's, shit.
It's not like it was just like an entire row and film in the theater of black people. There were white people in this audience, and there were very much some dumbass Karens who wanted to say something. But every single time, it's like, it felt like the person in the projection booth who was making sure the film was running was on our side. Because sometimes there would be, it was occasionally, I feel like either they had friends who worked here, and that's how they pulled this off. Or they just happened to know a guy who knew a guy. They would just be like, okay, for like 5 hours, there's not going to be anybody on staff who's really going to be doing their job. The manager's out. Y'all can do whatever the fuck you want. Because occasionally, sometimes, the film would stop, restart, and then go back again. So Buddy could get an instant replay on whatever was happened. And there was one point in the film, and I think it was when we got to the El Diablo portion, where actual Sandetta music started playing over the speaker inside of our theater, because it just makes that scene with the fucking fire dancing girl and that fucking in that scene better. And one of the girls was like, "Oh my god, you guys, y'all are just so fucking wild." And the film stops, and everybody turns in their seat towards the sound of this white ass voice. And I think it was either me or somebody else with a Chris Tucker like voice, like, "You want to run that one by us again, bitch?" Oh, that's what we thought. Continue. Oh my god. But yeah, that's our theater down here in the South. It's wild.
Yeah, at most, like I would, when I used to go to the movies in Chicago, at most you get people just yelling at the screen and shit. I remember when I went to go, what was it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What was one of the remakes? Mm-hmm. It was one of them. And there's this guy's head in a jar that pops up, and he's got this real shaggy Amish beard, and some fucking dude yelled out, "Yeah, yo, it's Freeway!" With the rapper Freeway with the beard.
Yeah.
And he looked exactly like
oh, I just had flashbacks to Def Jam Fight for New York and Vendetta. Oh my god. That game is a cornerstone of black culture, and you cannot change my mind.
I've never played it.
It's like it was like a WWE knockoff game that was supposed to be the thing that they would use as the frameworks for their fucking WWE 2K editions. But it's like part wrestling but also part Street Fight. And I swear every black male has at least played this game or the game it originated from once or twice. Because it's kind of like it's kind of like one of those create your own fighter kind of games that has a whole ass storyline featuring hip hop idols. Because it's got people like Busta Rhymes, it has Snoop Dogg, it's got Nas, it's got RZA and GZA, it has a couple of members of the Wu-Tang Clan in there, like Ghostface Filla, God rest his soul. It's got people like Freeway, it had people like, God damn it, fuck. I'm trying to remember some of the female rappers. It had a Little Kim, it had China, I think was her name, and shit like that. And it's just like this whole plot of like, yeah, you're this underground fighter who they gambled on, who's like helping a whole fucking street kingpin try to reclaim his throne and shit. And also the gangster rappers that they have in the game that are actual people, you know, like Method Man or shit, they're like part superstar / underground fighters as though they are WWE superstars. It's weird. Like, there's a whole ass moment where you're having, like, a rooftop deathmatch fight against Snoop Dogg. Not like this new version of Snoop Dogg, but not even Snoop Lion, but, like, early, like, showing up in, like, fucking, I can't remember the name of the film. But, that one film he was in where he's, like, a gangster rapper, and he's across from, fuck. Not Peaches, the other person. Why can't I remember actors' names today? Holy shit. But it's like early 90s, like early Bones, like that version of Snoop Dogg, right? Mm-hmm. And he's doing his whole Snoop Dogg thing, and it's the corniest shit ever. Like cornball on cornball. But it works. It fucking works. And they tried to make a whole thing out of that franchise, but it just died because nobody wanted to care about black rappers fighting each other in this game. And now we live in a future where everything's a gacha game, and it would have probably worked in this time period. But anyways.
Yeah, I remember seeing gameplay for that and thinking it looked like fucking shit. Like the screen would like random the sky would randomly like flash and shit. I'm like, what the who allowed this?
I think that was the game called Def Jam Icons. Though I have never played that game before, but all of the things about the premise does not sound like it works. The only time I have ever seen a single person play this game was somebody inside of Best Buy was trying it out, and they broke the display. They got so upset with the game, they broke the display model.
Was that bad? When
Yes.
it just broke shit.
Yes. Oh god. Oh god. But shit, we're getting carried away. So you go ahead and you tell me about Artemis Fowl. God.
All right, we're talking about that shit.
God fucking Christ. I wish this water was alcohol.
Yeah, Artemis Fowl. Oh Jesus. Yeah, it's about this little rat bastard. Like the beginning of the movie starts fucking weird. It starts off way more dramatic than it actually should be. Like there's a flash of something, and then it cuts like some text, like Disney Presents, but it's like really bad papyrus. But I don't know. It looks really dumb. And then the movie starts not showing the kid or Colin Farrell, but it shows Josh Gad's character for some fucking. And then he starts, and then he goes to what Elvin Guantanamo Bay or some shit. And then they're interviewing, like, oh yeah, well, give us the plot, Josh Gad, and it's suddenly, and for some reason, some odd reason, it's suddenly in black. I don't know why. Like you're thinking, it's just black and white through the cameras they're using filming it, but no, it's the whole scene is in black and white. It's fucking. And then he goes on with this monologue, like with this narration, and it's like it's literally as if he's like it's as if the narration is for blind people who can't, because he's chronicle what's happening on screen, like, oh, Artemis, he really doesn't like school, but he really likes books. And then like they'll show it struggling in school, and then a smash cut to a scene of him reading a fucking book. Is that fucking is that simplistic? Like it's just that it's great it grated on my fucking nerves when I first saw it. And and Colin Farrell's his dad, and he's in it, and it's clear he doesn't care. He wants out. He wants to really be in a better movie.
His poster made me feel like, yeah, I know. This is a paycheck, guys. This is a paycheck. Don't think a lot from me. I'm just here to fit my job.
Right. And the relationship between him and Artemis is like, because the kid can't fucking act. Colin Farrell doesn't want to be there, so obviously it's like stilted in their relationship. You don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. And like next scene, he gets, like, Colin Farrell gets fucking kidnapped, and it's on like, oh, he was a robber, and he was one of, like, which it doesn't make any sense that they were reporting on Colin Farrell like he just been arrested or something. Then Colin Farrell, like, then there's a call at the house from this Cobra Commander sounding bitch saying, hey, we got your father. We got your dad trapped in a pile of fucking shit. Just like, and they were just reporting on Colin Farrell like he had just been arrested, because they're exposing Colin Farrell for, like, oh yeah, he's a robber. He's been lifting artifacts and shit. Okay, well, how do you know this? He's been kidnapped. This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, and the kid, look, this Cobra Commander bitch calls the house. The kid picks up the phone. Is like, oh, dad's been kidnapped, and assistant nigga comes into the it's like, oh, Optimus, your father's gone, and he's got a whole fucking basement full of shit that he didn't want to show you until now.
They really made that black butler have a fucking English accent, didn't they?
Yeah, he got these bright blue eyes and bleached hair. I'm like, okay, wait, was he supposed to be a white character and they just changed him into a black character? Because why does he look like this? He's not an alien. He's not a supernatural creature. So why the fuck does he look like that? I mean, I'm not saying black people can't have blue eyes, because there are black people in certain regions who have like different color, like green eyes, blue eyes, whatever. But I'm just saying, it's so he's got like Crayola blue eyes.
It's like some. It's like It's like something you expect to do to like, oh, this is an OC insert. The character is supposed to be important, and we decided to race wash them, but we're going to allow them to retain their blonde hair and light blue eyes. So you're just gonna have to see this fucking character with some English sounding end like Winstrup, then Astrup the Third, and then you just see, and then when it's saying Winstrup, you say Winslow. It's saying that your audio is cutting in and out a bit. I'm not sure how I can fix that because I've closed everything.
Is it?
A little bit.
Oh, son of a. You know what? Because it is kind of cutting out for me. About last, I was thinking, well, I'm listening to audio, and it's kind of like it's got kind of like a crackly background effect. I don't know, but my computer was acting a little funny, but it seemed to be fine.
Yeah.
Until now, I guess. So I'm gonna restart my. Yeah, I'm gonna restart my computer.
Okay.
So hang on.
No problem.
Fucking computer. Okay, I'll be.
We do it live, folks. We do it fucking live. Also, Amy, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still with.
I'm not gonna lie, low key, I thought you had fallen asleep at some point. I'm not sure though, but yeah, when I was watching Artemis Fowl, I'm not sure if they did anything for did they do advertisements for this film in your region?
Probably, but I don't remember seeing it all that often.
Do you happen to see anything about this film whatsoever?
I don't know, it sounds trash, so probably not.
When I saw things about this, it was a whole lead up. I wish I had gotten Michelle to be here because she and I had a whole fucking experience with this. Because I'm pretty sure both of us have read at least enough about this book series, if not the entirety of this book series. It's supposed to be one of the many fucking young adult novel adaptations that Hollywood has been very, very addicted to for the last 4 to 6 years. The Lightning Thief was one of them. Fault in Our Stars is one of them. Divergence series was one of them. Technically, you could count Harry Potter in this, but Harry Potter was way before this new kick of shit. And then Percy Jackson, one of the biggest examples, and a whole bunch of other shit. And all of these films are either dog shit, still kind of trash, but can be good, bad films to go back about and just laugh at with your friends. And then some of them, like this one, Artemis Fowl, are aggressively offensive. I was saying before on the broadcast that there are some films that, or before the broadcast, that there are some films that I refuse to watch, or some content that I refuse to watch, because I know that if I'm not going to have fun making fun of it with friends, or at least have fun watching it and laughing at it for how it's so dumb, and how it's a cheese film, whether it be cornball or not, that I will not watch it because I know it will offend me, and make me up fucking set, and make me actually have violent outrage against it, because it's that offensive. And this is one of those films that I feel I'm gonna have to skip out watching because it's so aggressively bad, but then I want to watch it because if I want to review it and point out exactly how bad a film this is, because it's one of those hallmark moments where they make a blockbuster that was supposed to be good. She's back, y'all. It's one of those hallmark moments where you get a film that is so amazingly bad that you have to talk about it. Because when will be the next time another fuck up like this happens? And you just want to shit down the throat of whoever made it and say, your film's bad, your movie's bad, I hate you, I hate your parents, I hate that your parents had you, you should have been swallowed, fuck you, the entire theater, fuck every single person in the industry who okayed this, and I hate the academics who's gonna say 10 out of 10, best film. Because you knew what you did. You made a bad film. I'm doing the bit that I told you about. I hate this film, and you knew what you did. You knew what you were doing. And I really hate this because of that new feature that they, the new ruling, the report that they told us, live from the academies. We're going to make films more inclusive and diverse. I bet this film was a part of some kind of fucking push with that shit. Maybe not. Because Disney can fuck a film up all on their own without ever needing a diversity kick anyway. But, oh my god. This film and any film that comes after it, especially period pieces, is going to be the key point inside of the craft of cinema, where we can sit down and say, "Yep, this is the exact point where all this shit went to fuck." Right now, right here, that one, right there, that choice is the one who did it. She's the one who okayed it. He's the one who thought it up, and they're the ones that said, "You know what? I know we have to make sure that people watch our films in our county, because for some reason you can only qualify for some awards if it gets actually filmed and screened in San Bernardino County for the minimum of a week. That's how they choose to make the rules work. Somehow, even though that's how they choose to pick what goes on to be good, they make rules like this while complaining about how films are so badly diverse. And yet Martin Scorsese comes in with the right hook of the century with his, I don't remember the name of the people who do it, but something that he is either tied to or is directly his job, that he has preserved and is now bringing forth from these different cultures, all of these different types of films from places like the Asian continent, things from China specifically, things from like the Congo and shit like that. Good films, or possibly good films. I don't know. I have not seen them yet. But things like Parasite would never have been screened, would never have gone on to win awards, would never have done anything whatsoever at all. None of the films like that. Parasite, Train to Busan, The Raid, The Raid's Redemption, no films like that. None of them would have been seen if rules like this had been in place now. And it's going to make it worse, especially period pieces, because I don't know about you, but while there may have been Danish white men in the region of Africa that bought land that then created the demographics of the white Danish farmer descendants that have been fucked over by places like the ANC government, those period films would work if you were to try to diversify them with a couple of more black people. You know, make it some kind of action-based thriller period drama. But there were no black people in Africa, or not in Africa, but there were no black people. That would have been a weird sentence. There was no black people in China. There was no white people in the deepest of the Congo. There was none of that. There was no black people in the furthest reaches of the medieval period era that could have possibly also been British lords. Probably, most certainly could have been in the British time period, but they were probably looked down upon if they weren't outright indentured slaves that worked their way up through hardship and were hated because they had money. But yeah.
See, but what makes you think that's gonna matter to the Academy? They're gonna they're gonna bring in movies that like have all black, and they're gonna oh no, that's diverse right there. Like that's diverse, like because there's no white people. that's how they're gonna use that loophole, because they're already in the mindset that all black cast equals, or like all of one color other than white is a diverse. They already cheat. They already cheat those. I don't think. I mean, it's definitely gonna make shit worse. Like a lot of worse movies are gonna be nominated at, but they already. No one like no, they're not gonna. It's not like certain movies aren't gonna be nominated because there's all Asian people or whatever. Because they're gonna like that's what they want. They see diversity as like just have no white people, just a lot of people of color and no white people.
It's really dumb too, because this is exactly what the BBC does, and I feel sorry for the English people. I feel sorry for JXE and people like them, because they get fucked over the way that we get fucked over with our taxes. They get fucked over by the BBC for having the sin of owning a television, and then they are forced to watch state media. It's the weirdest shit. They're forced to watch state media on channels 1 through 4, and any of the things that they could watch, the kinds of shows that people on Tumblr go crazy for, like it's not Arthur, it's called Merlin. Shit like Merlin and shit like, for us, The Magicians. Shows like that people go crazy for. Though they share those as shows that of like inclusion and diversity, but it's like no they're not. None of this is historically accurate. None of this is okay, but it's entertainment. So if it's entertainment, this should be fine. But then it's like,
Right.
you know what would be great? If we treated our boards like the BBC treats the English environment. That would be great. We should just fuck everybody's ability to see a good product because we have an agenda. And it's dumb. It's really dumb. Because, oh god. Because I think one of the films that's probably going to be the best example of this, you've seen the fucking new Cinderella they're making, right? You've heard about it, at least. The one with Camila Cabello and Billy Porter as the non-gender fairy godmother.
Oh yeah, right. I did tweet that.
That is probably going to be more of what we get in the future. And mind you,
Yeah.
I don't even give a shit that they're doing that because they already did the film that they're trying to say they're going to do. The feminist film that they did was is Ever After. That is your feminist Cinderella film. That film already exists.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to even get more diverse than that, how about Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella with fucking Brandy?
Yeah, Brandy. Where like the father's white, the mother's black, and the son is somehow Asian. But nobody gave a shit back then because like we just wanted to see Brandy in a fucking movie with Whitney.
Whitney Houston.
Nobody gave a shit.
Everybody wanted to see that fucking gown that Houston had. They wanted to see that drip.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit about none of that. But no, we're in the future now.
Yeah, because it wasn't really forced. It was just like, oh, well, this is the thing we want.
Yeah,
We want to put as much star power in a room as possible, and we want to make. And that's it. But now it's like, now you have to fucking watch our bullshit. You have to like, and we're not gonna put any, and just to insult you even more, we're not gonna put any fucking effort into it. No fun, none of that.
And then to insult you even further, we're gonna overlook real, good, well-made, diverse shows and films for our drivel. Because if they're not our group, fuck them. Fuck those niggas. They're not us. You're white. Well, we care. And then they're gonna give it awards. And then after giving awards, let's see if I can try to fix it. Because it's still doing the thing with the sound. I don't know if it's my shit that's doing that or not. I hope it's not.
I mean, I keep hearing you like there's a popping noise in the background when I hear you talk. I don't know why.
I don't know what it is. I hope that's not something to do with my voice. I hope it's not my fan or anything. It might just be the way that I have my microphone set up. See if I can angle it a little bit so that the popping sound isn't, because it's probably my voice popping against the filter. I'm trying to figure out how I can make this audio sound not dog shit. But yeah, with those films like that, oh, it's not voice activity. Hopefully it's not. I think that's better. With things like that, it is almost always that they just choose. They choose to ignore things that are good and say, yo, but this is actually great. Because I was talking about this with my inner group of friends, with people like Amy and that, and people like Mariner. And Mariner is one of these people who said this shit. And I'm going to repeat what he said because he was right when he said this. Because he and I are both comic book fans, along with somebody named Poe. You know Poe. We are all comic book fans, and we were talking about comic books while Amy was forced to listen to us talk about comic books. And the way that they chose to write Black Panther as a film is a perfect example of the precursor of this dumb shit. Mm-hmm. Because the Black Panther that we were given in the MCU is not Black Panther. That is not his character. His Royal Highness does not... It's weird, because it's the same reason why people constantly doing the Wakanda Forever pose and wearing dashikis to the film while being 100%...
So fucking embarrassed.
Yeah, this is the most embarrassing shit ever.
Yeah, it's no different from people, like, acting out scenes of Star Wars in the lobby while they're waiting for the fucking movie. It's no different. And, like, they're doing a Black Power salute at the screen. Jesus Christ.
But it's like...
People... I was about to say, people act like we really can't be cringe, and we can.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to a movie.
It's like, the character of Black Panther is a man who, because the best writer for Black Panther was the man who I think is 100% responsible for creating him, or at least making the best version of him, which is Christopher Priest, and he has done plenty of fucking books. But when he did his run of Black Panther, there is one particular panel that is important to understand what the spirit of Black Panther is, and it's a panel by the name of One Heart. And the idea of the panel, because I'm not sure if people have the time to look at it, I could bring it up, but I don't have the link on hand. I'd have to go find it, and I don't want to distract and waste people's time. They can find it on their own if they look hard enough. It's a very well-known piece. I don't remember what issue it's from, though. Black Panther is talking to an audience of Black Americans at a historic Black college. And they are so caught up in the Black Panther mania. It's almost like he predicted this shit. They're so caught up in the Black Panther mania of, oh my god, Black Panther! And they're like, your royal, like, your majesty, your majesty! Actually, it's your royal highness, but I don't mind. Your royal highness, how do you feel about the Black America? How do you feel about us being able to receive you, your highness? And it's like, do you see me as a man? Do you not have 5 toes? Do you not have 5 fingers? I have 5 toes, 5 fingers, 5 toes, 1 heart. I do not think you understand that America, you see, I see the panther, you see the black. I am a man, just like you. I think the best thing that you should be is you should remember what this actually means and not what you choose to get out of it. I am paraphrasing because I'm fucking it up, but that's the general gist. The idea is that this crowd is so caught up in celebrating what they think Black Panther is to them that they have not actually accepted what Black Panther is. So how ironic is it that it would be by none other than a black man's hand to take what was supposed to be a perfect case example for you to say, hey, we understand what it's actually mean to say, you know, you don't say you're about it, be about it. You know, the real recognizes real kind of common sense writing. For a black man to be the director of it, kind of have a hand in the writing, to pick out the costumes, do all this bombastic shit, and you miss the fucking point. Instead of instead of understanding what it means to actually be connected to your history and respect what Black Panther means to people, because it's about not specifically saying the black part that you're supposed to care about is that, oh, he's a black character. No, anybody could be in the Black Panther suit. It's about actually understanding what it means to be African in that context, or what would it mean to be about the thing that you're from. When somebody tries to affectionate the African American black vernacular, regularly known as Ebonics, when anybody was to talk black to us, we would both roll our eyes at them if we know that that motherfucker's name is Ethan and that he usually drinks chai tea and coffee with a giant ass fucking hipster beard, right? But the aggression and the offense that I would take for someone who would actively be like us, it's how sad to say that because it doesn't matter, but it does matter, you know? For them to say that they are like us and to say that shit loud and proud and still get it fucking wrong. Are you blind? Do you not see the problem? And then there's a couple of people who come along and it's like, but we eaten. And I know we have took you off track because you had to come back. We're gonna get back to it. We're talking about Artemis Fowl, but I gotta say this because shit is annoying. It shit infuriates me, especially with things like Black Panther. It infuriates me, especially it's with what it insulted me at first with the riots too. When people choose to use their outright indignation and their outrage and their writing and their work as a sword, and then they hide behind our skin as a shield, and they say, but what is your problem? You eating though, right? You eating? It's like, no, nigga, this shit's the shit. I'm not eating this shit. Fuck you think I am? You know, I thought that was just me, but plenty enough people seem to be feeling what I'm feeling. Oh no, did I break my microphone? Shit. I don't know, I was waiting for you to jump in.
No. I thought you weren't done yet.
No.
Or something.
No. That's
Shit.
how I feel. That's how I feel. It's like, it's obvious. It's very obvious too, because this is Disney we're talking about. People like to forget that it's Marvel, but it's just Disney that does this. Because Disney, there's something else happened today while I was out too. Because there's supposed to be this new Kingdom Hearts game that's being made, and it's a fucking rhythm game of all things. And I don't know how much you know about Kingdom Hearts, but you know it's the new Weeb's Final Fantasy, and there was a whole bunch of videos featuring things from the game, and I was happy because it's like, ooh, this is good. This is a good product. I like this product. I'm gonna, even though I can't play this product, I'm gonna support people buying this product, and I'm watching it, and then I come across a video of the most soy voice possible, just fucking jizzing his pants like it's like the exact words that pissed me off was like, oh my god, did Kingdom Hearts do a Marvel logo? Oh my god, they did a Marvel logo. I have never felt so powerful than how I do right now. I throw my fucking phone on the ground. I was so mad. I was like, shit, I can't have anything. I can't have my weeb shit. I can't have my comic books. I can't have anything. Fuck you. I hate the world. But on the Black Panther thing, that's my take on it. Cause it's like they try to give it. They say they do things for us, you know, so that we finally we have representation, and then they fuck up the representation, and when we complain about it and say, listen, you guys fucked it up, can you try again? They're like, no, we're not gonna do that. You're eating though. Why are you complaining? Why are you mad? We're doing this for you. It's like, you know, I felt that was just me, because there's plenty of people who feel like that, but I thought it was just me who realized that this was the problem. Oh shit, I think I've disconnected real quick.
I was clicking through.
Okay.
See if I can get that popping noise.
But you go ahead and give me your take on that before you go back to talking about Artemis.
Oh, well, yeah, like I said, I feel basically the same way you do. It's just like, it's just fucking, it's, what's the word I want to use? My brain is fucking dry today. It's patronizing. Like, oh, you got no representation, and so we're making this garbage so you can have some representation. What the? It's like someone like you're without food and you're living on the streets and you're hungry as fuck, and someone says, "Oh, I'm gonna get you the best fucking meal you ever had," and take you and sit you down to like with like instead of turkey, it's like the bones have been picked clean, and then fucking use diapers, shit. Like there's nothing but garbage on the and then you turn to them like, what the fuck? And then the person who set you up with this dinner's like, wait, come on, I gave you something. I promised you I would feed you. You can eat it if you. I mean, technically, it is edible if you try hard enough. If you just try hard enough to, if you try hard enough to enjoy it, you will end up enjoying it, I guess. It's kind of like that. I think didn't you make that same fucking analogy?
Which one?
You there? What happened?
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I fucking forgot I changed the push to talk. Trying to see if I can take the sound away. Which analogy do you mean?
Oh my god! I just said a whole thing and you didn't hear me.
No, I did hear you. I was trying to respond and I forgot that I turned it on to push to talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, didn't you make the same like food analogy? Like someone sets you like hungry person being sold a bunch of shit.
Yeah, they put a fucking buffet. That's what it. Oh god, that's the fucking thing that made me fucking piss me off about this, because I was trying to figure out what I was trying to say. It's like so often Hollywood presents these films and their ideas for what they use behind it. Kind of like when you were a kid in school and it was like the International Food Day. So everybody brought food of their culture, right? And Disney, the way that they do it, because this is like an industry sense problem, because technically every company does this, where they'll have some kind of diversity initiative for their ideas. Actually, Stefan's basically saying it exactly the way that I'm trying to say it, but it's like this. They put out these quotas and these ideas and these incentives, like international the dining cuisine days, except that instead of it being Brazilian food, American food, Mexican food, it's Haitian food, Jamaican food, instead of it being all of these like setups and designs and trifold sets with happy smiling people trying to show you a bit of what their culture's like, but instead of these bright-eyed bushy-tailed kids that don't know what the world's like yet, it's these well-functioning, I'm air quoting the shit out of that, well-functioning adults who either they are well-functioning and they actually have a good head on their shoulders, they have good ideas, they're a Jon Favreau who's like, listen, I may not know many things, but I know how to fucking listen, so you tell me, what is it that you want? And he listens, and he puts that shit in your work, and he produces an Iron Man, he produces a Mandalorian, and it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful fucking spread and design about. We took ideas from this, and we put in this, and we took ideas from this, and we put in that, and we put ideas from this, and we had this. This was made by a woman, this was made by a team of men and women, this was made by men thinking of how women felt, and tried to think through their experiences, and then I came through, and I tried to put a little extra finishing garnish on top, and here you go. Enjoy, American public, enjoy, international public, and people eat it, and it's like, oh shit, this hits different. This nigga hitting spices with irrelevant flavors. And then you go to the next booth, and it's the feminist booth. And it's the women who are like, so we don't like how men look at men and women in the context of how men treat both sexes unfairly, so we decided to make films that will speak to our experiences. And then you have people like Elizabeth Banks sitting up there with Elizabeth's Angels. You've got other dumbass projects, plenty of which all of us can name. You know what I'm talking about. And they have these films and these shows there, and they're like, come on, dig in. And you're looking at it, and it's not appetizing. You can choke some of it down if you drizzle it in the fucking hot sauce that is your fucking, in fucking memes and shit. And you're like, you're trying to digest it, and it's like, oh my god, why do you guys like it the way that we like it? This just tastes fine. And they take a spoonful of their shit, and even their friends are trying to choke it down. The person who made it, oh, they can eat it fine. It's like, we eat this all the time. What do you mean? This is lovely. I enjoy this. Because they have a collective taste for it. They have acquired taste for their bullshit. And their friends try to choke it down because they're nice and they're like, we don't want to tell her that it's bad, but please just give her an award so she can shut the fuck up. And then you get the Ryan Cooglers. The Ryan Cooglers who came fucking looking at you in the most colorful of tribal cloth. Like, wagwan, my Negroes. Hello, my brothers and sisters, my Negresses. Today, we will define and design on the tribal beat of our nation's heart. And they're bringing out the collection of food, and everybody's clapping on like, yes, this is nice. Ooh, I like the spectacle. This is wonderful. Got all the fucking bells and whistles and shit. And then you actually see the food, and it looks good. It smells good. But then you pick it up, and you kind of have a sinking feeling, like, oh, I don't know. You know, you pick up this wonderful Jamaican pie filled with things like fucking tropes as designed by men who cheat on their wives during production. And you take a bite of it, and you just get a hot squirt of shit down your throat. And it's just like, ugh, the fuck? He's like, What is wrong, my brother? Don't you like the Jamaican pie of Black Panther? I'm like, nigga, that's not Black Panther. That's squirrel shit. It's like, what do you mean? I make this for you. Like, nigga, you made this for yourself. And it's like, come on, but you having it. No, you're having it. You can keep it. I don't want it. That's what the film industry's doing. And that's what this initiative of theirs is. It's them coming to the table and saying, here's the standard of what we're gonna demand from you, the creators. We're gonna limit we're gonna tie your arms around your back like it's a competition, because that's really what it feels like when they go to the Oscars. All of these different ideas that they throw up on the board to say, here, how do we try to make things better? But in reality, they're making them worse. Just always making them worse. And every initiative that they put out, every new standard they put out, it just restricts all of those better, more diverse, more interesting, and never before, in some cases, seen takes. Where you have products that would have never been seen if they had thought like this before. And they know it, but it's like, yeah, but for our convenience, let's not listen. And I want to do this other thing, because I think this is more interesting. And I feel like it's being done for us here in our country, because we know they don't do this shit overseas. They follow all the rules over in Afghanistan. They follow all the rules over in the United States Emirates. They will never put that shit on their screen, because they know exactly what's going to happen when they do. You're going to have somebody like Netflix getting bent over by the Saudi crown because somebody told a joke that wasn't halal. I can say that too, because I was Muslim. They will say something that is not halal, they'll put something on screen that offends their sensibilities, and snip, 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 cut it out the poster, cut it out the film. But over here, oh no, you gotta eat this shit. You gotta enjoy it. You have to enjoy the product. If you don't enjoy the product, how do we prove that we're diverse and we're woke? It's that, but times a billion. They walk up to you and they're basically saying, hi, my N-words, how would you like to have this piece of your culture? But it's not our culture anymore. It's not even anything close to what we'd want. It's not even something we would enjoy as like an intellectual thought, even if we think that the execution of the product was bad. It's something that they looked at. They looked at the surface level. They took out the surface level details. They took out the memes that they thought made the product what it was. And then they present it before you and hope that you eat it long enough to say, this is the best thing I ever had. Snip, click, put it on top of the box. Best endorsement ever. They don't wait to see you cough it up and say, actually, the texture was dog shit. The execution was dog shit. I could taste what you were doing, but I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I would prefer you start over again. They don't listen to any of that. They don't want to, because that doesn't make money. That doesn't make headlines. And that's like what makes up all of the problem with like entertainment in general. The only way that we can be able to suss out what the problem is now is that we have to actually sit down and enjoy the dog shit and choke it down and say, okay, so here's what I'm tasting. We have to review, report of the week our way through movies now and through entertainment now. People have to see us fucking suffering to understand, oh, that is actually soul crushing. Let me not watch this. We suffer so you don't have to. How's that for a fucking nostalgia critic slogan? But yeah, let's get back to Artemis. Let's get back to Artemis unless you have something you want to say there.
No, yeah, let's get back to Artemis immediately.
Right, so you were before you dipped, you were right around the point where you were explaining about the Elven Guantanamo Bay.
Fuck. No, I was on the assistant nigga, dude.
Oh yes, that's right, assistant nigga. Yeah, assistant nigga Winslow.
Yeah, this fucking Nordic hair and eyed nigga. Like, it shows Artemis like this base magical trinkets and shit. It's like, Artemis, yeah, father's been kidnapped and he was gonna show you this, but whatever. But like, I'm showing it to you now because save your father, whatever the fuck, even though he never leaves the house to actually go find his father, whatever. Anyway, he shows him all this shit, and then, oh my god, this movie is so hazy for me. Like, because it's like, okay, we got cringe, and that's interesting because it's really bad, and then it gets like uneventful for a while, and then like it picks right back up, and when it picks back up is when it cuts to like when it introduce Holly, the fucking, I don't know what the fuck are they again? They're fairies, right?
Yes.
That fair, and it's kind of like they do the thing that they do in the Santa Claus with Asians. Like yeah, they'll have like an elf or a fairy character. Like they look really young, but they're really like
they're
hundreds
really, yeah, they're really 700 years old.
Right. She's like 84, but she looks fucking 13 or some shit. And some like people in the chat, like as I was watching, it was telling me, it was like she's supposed to be like in her 30s. Like she's supposed to look like she's in her 30s. But it's kind of, I kind of believe him because I don't know her because time they're introducing Holly, like he's being arraigned for some crimes he fucking committed. And like their dynamic is a little fucking weird. It's just a little weird because they're fucking interacting with each other like, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. it's just weird.
I can attest
because
to
I think
I can attest to that actually. That's probably the elements that they took from the books that they mismatched. In the beginning, her character is supposed to be this hardened person, and she is super distrustful of Artemis. And over time, their dynamic changes where they're very much friends. There's something that happens, and I don't know if it's the Eternal Code, but it's probably the third or fourth book. Something happens that involves them getting their eyes switched around. I don't remember the context of what happened right now, but something happens, their eyes get changed. She gets one of his eyes, he gets one of hers, and they use magic to resize the shit. So now he has heterochromatia, and they're really buddy. They're not dating context. It's more like, we've been through some shit, I can trust you to cover me kind of dynamic that happens over the entire of the course of the book series. And it feels like the way you're explaining it, they're like trying to make her look youthful so that you can try to like low-key be like, oh, they're friendly because he wants to kind of bang her, kinda. But it's like, no, that was never gonna happen.
Like it would grow into some kind of romance later on if they decide to mix in any.
And that'd be sin. That'd be sin.
Right. Yeah, but like I'm talking about the dynamic between her and Josh Gad. That was fucking because like I said, they're interacting like they're both, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like if she were 30, would there have been like it's like we changed her character to be like more like, so now we got to take out maybe some won't they shit with her and Josh. Like there's supposed to be some scenes with Josh Gad hitting on this girl, but they took it out because they changed it to a little girl to make her more palatable. That's what it felt like. Like their whole, at least in the scene, in their first scene.
That's kind of like when they had Will Smith's genie hitting on, what was that character's name? Tallulah, Nadia, that character.
The friend of Jasmine, whatever.
It works in that context because when you then learn at the end of that film, spoilers everyone, that he is telling the story to their kids of how he was once a genie and he about Aladdin and Agrabah and shit. That makes sense because it's like, oh, that's happily ever after. That's nice. And their chemistry actually works because it's like, I don't know if it's because the actress and him hit it off or because they had to do the refilming and shit with the songs and whatnot to make the songs better in that film, because their songs were not working out good for them at all. But in that, oh god, Prince Ali was ass, but everything else was mid-decent with the exception of whatever Naomi Scott was on.
Okay, Will Smith was terrible. Like, he was singing Arabian Nights. It was he had no business singing.
Honestly,
but anyway,
it was passable for a watching, but it's not ever gonna stand up to the cartoon. I don't know why they tried. Maybe it was because of money. But that relationship worked better in context to this, because it's like, you can see how it works. Because it's like, she's lonely, he's lonely, and you put two lonely people together, and sparks happen. In this, ooh, shit, the things I've seen, I have questions, and my first question is, call the police!
It's feeding. He's gonna chomp on that fucking 13-year-old, 84-year-old box.
What the fucking jaw? Oh god, keep going.
and then like all the fucking earth just blows through his ass, or at least that's the way it looked. I don't know if that was on their part or like it was actually supposed to look that fucking horrendous, where dirt was literally blowing through his ass.
That's that's the only thing that is accurate from the books. That's supposed to happen.
Of course, like the pseudo would be the only accurate thing.
Oh god, there is a graphic novel that even has that exact same scene, but I don't think anybody ever tried to put words to describing in detail what you saw in video. That's horrifying. They show that shit to children. Oh god. Okay. Keep going. It was like Josh Gad and the kid and Holly and the fucking is Judi Dench even like in the film for most of it, or is she just really just there for her scenes and then she's gone?
Now she's in most of it. She's yeah, because she's Judi Dench's right hand man throughout the whole fucking thing. And then Artemis kidnaps, and then they have their own little shit. And then she's fighting alongside Artemis and assistant and this random black girl-ish sporadically in the movie. That's what's really fucking tripped me out. That's what really made me laugh. Like, there's this black girl, right? She shows up. Like, she's she's nowhere to be found in the beginning and most of the middle of the movie. And then she just shows. It's like, hey, Artemis. Like, who the fuck is that? She shows up. And there's this one hilarious fucking scene. If anyone from my channel is watching, you remember, and who has seen that stream, you remember like this one fucking scene where she's serving Holly like her prison lunch or what. Fucking matter, creepy ass with the lunch tray. It's so fucking cool. It's so fucked up. And then she like, because what makes it extra weird is that she'll disappear and then come back So you're like, when is she gonna sneak attack someone with a fucking? I'm just waiting for it because this bitch, she's so weird. I don't know what the hell that was about.
Is there like a climactic ending? I'm imagining there's a climactic ending. Does it work? Was it horrible? Am I gonna tear my eyes out when I see it, Jay?
Do you want to be spoiled? Oh, we're talking about the movie anyway. Do you want to be spoiled? The ending?
Yeah, hit me.
Yeah. Okay. What fucking happened? Oh yeah, like Colin Farrell, of course, gets from Cobra Commander. Like, she's not, like, for one thing, she's the main villain, and we never see her face. Number two, it's like, oh, wow, I want revenge on humans because you've reduced us to stupid little fairy stories. You give us a bad reputation. We got bad. Basically, she's enacting vengeance on the human race because of bad representation of, like, bad fairy representation.
Oh my god!
I'm not even fucking playing. Like, she goes off like, you portray us as either cartoon stories or violent creatures, and we're gonna get our shit back. Like, we're gonna enact all. Okay, so whatever. Like, but then she like just loses, but it's kind of like this anticlimactic because we don't really know this bitch, or like some people in the chat were saying it's this character that wasn't even supposed to be but she's introduced in this. But like, it's so anticlimactic. She loses, but she still kind of doesn't because she's still around. She doesn't die or anything. She doesn't get apprehended. They kind of make a deal, and then like Colin Farrell gets like, well, the last 20 minutes of the copy of the movie I had, but I think Colin Farrell goes like nothing ever happened, but like Cobra Commander is like, oh, you, Colin Farrell is back home, and I didn't get to kill people. Oh no, but she's still alive. Okay, all right. Well, that's part of it. And then Colin Farrell's like, okay, well, we'll just all team up and fight crime together, I guess. And then it just ends with them. Oh yeah, they break Josh Gad out of prison, out of like very Guantanamo Bay, and then they helicopter off into the sunset, and then it's over. This is a generic fucking ending. It's like where we ended is where we began in the movie. It's like all this shit had already happened, and it was all concluded when Josh Gad was telling the story. And then they break him out, and then they helicopter off in the sunset. It's a really generic, stupid ending.
I'm gonna make it a prediction. Josh Gad was basically the framing device, wasn't he?
The what?
I'm assuming that they put this character in Ferry Guantanamo Bay. I'm literally making a pure prediction off of my brain. They used Josh Gad's character as a storytelling device to tell the film and the events on how they happened. And then they broke him out of prison to then end the film and bring it back to bookends. I feel that's what they chose to do, because they thought it would be useful, but that doesn't actually help anything, because that's actually dumb. That's probably what they did. Is that what they did?
Like, wait, explain a little bit more, because it opened with it like Josh Gad was in on the journey. Like, he wasn't a villain or anything. He was just
No, I mean like the plan that I'm assuming that this is Artemis's plan, because Artemis must have had this as a plan, because for them to break him out requires for them to know where this fucking black site that I'm assuming they put him in was.
Yeah.
The events of the movie happen. Then he gets captured, and then he explains the movie to them, to the black site people, as though they are audiences, and then you watch the film as the audience, and then they broke him out of Ferry Guantanamo Bay, and then the film ends.
Yeah. But it's like, well, with Artemis through the whole fucking movie, I knew that would happen, or like I planned for that. To every fucking thing that happened, like he supposedly planned. Like, he's like a little smart ass to the whole goddamn. So yeah, it's safe to assume that like that was also part of the plan. Josh Gad telling the story, and then they would eventually break.
That feels so stupid because it was done. Because the way that you're explaining it makes me feel like when I watch it, if I sit down and watch it with you, or if I sit down and watch it myself, it'll be done so incompetently that when they say, when he's like, "Oh, I knew that would happen," it's more like, yeah, I knew that would happen. Yeah, I planned that. Yeah, I did that. And it's like, it works in the context if it's like, okay, it's his first. Even if you want to reconstruct this film after you destroy it, Disney. If Disney ever listens to this, they probably won't. I wouldn't. But if they were to go back and do this in whatever way they did, if you're going to make him have his first adventure after learning about the new world, a la the Men in Black style of actually theories are real, and I've been covering them the entire time. And your dad's part of this secret society that was sworn to try to protect them, but actually he's also going to try to double-cross them, whatever fucking shit they did with this film. Goddamn fuck everything. Because I'm very sure, didn't they kill off his mother early in the film?
She was, she died off screen. And they're like, oh, your mother Artie, she was a wonderful woman, whatever the fuck.
Oh god. Oh my fucking god. His mother and his entire relationship with his parents is supposed to be one of his most important motivations. It's supposed to be what helps him to stay on the straight and narrow and not be such a dick, even when he's such a dick. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the character journey of Galahad, or of Eggsy, in the Kingsman films. His entire job, his entire point was that he came from nothing, and he made something of himself by remembering that he had people he was trying to protect. And in the case of this, it's kind of the same story, but inversed as a villain. He wanted to be a villain because this nigga was already evil, and this little nigga had his parents as an encouragement. There's actually an entire thing where later in the book series, something happens to the timeline, and he returns to a future where his parents were happy, alive, and well, and he even has 2 new twin siblings. And it's like a whole thing happens with it, and it's like, oh, great. So mom's okay, dad's okay. Wonderful life, wonderful world. It's all coming up Millhouse kind of shit. The way that you're describing the film is like they made him not have a mom, so they could try to make his dad a more important character than he should have ever been or ever was. So that then,
and plus it's just like Disney, like average Disney shit. You gotta have at least one dead parent. Otherwise, otherwise the Disney formula ain't legit.
Yeah, it's like why not kill both parents? Why not make it an orphan? And he just lives in this house full of shit, and he just discovers what his parents were doing secondhand, and he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna steal shit now. I learned about this secret world where all this shit comes from. I'm just gonna take it. And he learns more about, oh, actually, my parents were trying to protect this. Actually, they had a deal set up with them. You know, you're gonna know that shit. If you're gonna fuck it up good.
But now they made it low rent Spy Kids.
Oh god. Even Spy Kids 2 managed to get this right. No, technically Spy Kids is dog shit to begin with anyways. The only thing we ever cared about was Alex's mom. Wasn't she fucking portrayed by Carlino of all people? I swear to God, the first mom in the first Spy Kids. The dad was Antonio Banderas, and I think the mom was Carla Gugino. That was the only thing I cared about Spy Kids for.
Yeah, she was mom in both. Like in the first 2.
Okay, for the second, the way that you phrased that, you thought you said that she was the mom for Artemis Fowl. I was about to be like, what?
No, like no, no. I'm saying like she was the mom in both Spy Kids movies.
Yeah, that's like the only thing I remember from Spy Kids, with the exception of Spy Kids 3 and Demetra. I don't know what it was about Little Me, but Little Me had a crush on Demetra.
Oh.
I don't know. But Spy Kids got 2 things right. 1, memes, and 2, some actually out there takes. Like from none other than fucking the second film, where it's like, do you think God stays in heaven because he is terrified of his own creation? Shit like that. It's what Spy Kids was made for. It was made for ham and cheese. So give people ham and cheese. And that's what they should have done with this film if they were gonna fuck it up the way they did. If you're not gonna adapt the book faithfully, make it fun. But you didn't do that. If they come back to this film and maybe fix shit, because this is my same take, because I feel the exact same way about Netflix Witcher. We'll talk about that later. But the same thing with Netflix Witcher. If you're not going to follow the books faithfully, like you said you were, Lauren S. Hissrick, at least make it fun for the entire family to watch. You know, the ones that are above age and can watch your actress fucking. But make it entertaining. Just make it entertaining. Just have fun with it. Make fun, cool designs. Everybody will be happy for it. It'll be grand. It will be something that people remember for the ham and cheese rather than just the dog shit. I would rather taste ham and cheese than taste dog shit in a film. Why'd you make us taste dog shit? Why did you make her watch dog shit? Why are you gonna make me look at dog shit, Disney? I want to feel good, not bad about myself. At least we won't have to pay money for it.
True.
Well, okay. So, now, transition to the next thing. Let's talk about Birds of Prey. Or as it's properly supposed to be known, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which has now been retitled to, what is it, just literally Harley Quinn Birds of Prey?
Yeah. No, Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, I think.
Honestly, better title, because it was very clearly not a Birds of Prey film. It's much like how there's been talk. I'm pretty sure it's either there was talks about a Gotham City Sirens film before this, or at the same time as this, and they're still gonna do that one anyways. But it's like, how do you have a team up film? Oh my god, this is DC we're talking about too. How did they fuck this up twice trying to do this with Justice League of all things? Shout outs to fucking Justice League 2021. Jack Steiner, you're finally gonna get your vindication, dog. You're finally gonna get your vindication.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
But how is it that you try to make a film that's supposed to be your feminist team up about how you're gonna undo the sexualization done on screen by none other than the asshole who chose to take over for Suicide Squad? How do you sexualize the women on screen like that? You go from what's supposed to be your magnum opus, your statement after Suicide Squad, to say, yo, we can make this better. We can make this good. How do you go doing that and instead you make it worse than Suicide Squad? How did you do that? It's impressive how they did that. I think we lost Amy. Oh no.
Yeah, she gone. What the fuck?
Oh no. She might have either decided something to do or her computer might have died. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna continue. How do you make a fucked up film like Birds of Prey? That's the question I ask myself. Unfortunately, I have an answer, because Jerry Conway took to Twitter to talk shit about it and saying that, yo, the reason why our film didn't do good was because men didn't go see it. Which, duh, nigga, duh. You told us not to. You said stay home, it's not for you. Then it failed. Then you said, what the fuck, men, we need you to support us. What do you want? You want me to watch it, or you don't want me not to watch it? Because if I watch it, I'm talking shit about it. If I don't watch it, you're not going to get my support for it, and then you don't get the eyes and clicks. Sometimes outrage does not get me to go watch your shit, because I will still recuse myself. I said this before, because this was while you were gone. I will recuse myself before I watch your dog shit. Now, I watched it because I did not expect it to be midway decent, but the film was midway decent. But let's talk about the dumb shit.
Like sometimes outrage and like anger is just like fleeting because it exhausts way more than happiness and anticipation. Because like after a while, oh shit, this fucking movie, I'm not even mad anymore. I just fuck this shit. It runs out quick, burns out. That gas burns way quicker than you would having a positive feeling.
I agree, because it's like you get upset about it, you take to Twitter, you talk about it, and then as you're talking about it, you feel the outrage slip away from you, and then as the outrage slips away from you, you try to remember what it is you're even upset and mad about, and then you wake up from the hot flash that was your void rage, and you're like, what have I done? What did I even do? And you look at your fucking tirade that you type up about it, and it's like, shit, I'm taking a shower. No, you just feel dirty afterwards. You feel unclean. And this is even worse, because sometimes this is what happens with some critics. They'll take each other's takes, and they'll screenshot them, and they'll talk about them in their echo chambers, and be like, oh my god, look, see, this is what they think about us. And it's like, sure, but like, did you actually listen to each other? And it's like, no, you didn't. You did not listen to each other. You decided what they were going to say, and you got mad about it anyways. And that's what Jerry Conway did when he wrote his thread. It's a very well archived thread. I can probably put some links somewhere.
Yeah, he's been making a lot of pussy ass takes lately. What the fuck? This is a guy who co-created The Punisher?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's wild. It's wild how quickly people crater over the years when they have to fucking agree with this dog shit. It just makes them have bad takes by osmosis before they just become bad takes themselves.
Yeah.
But Harley Quinn / Birds of Prey. What did you think about this film?
What I think, like I said, I thought it was the narration, like it was jumbled and confused. The movie was confused because it was like filmmaking decisions that didn't make any sense, and it made, like I said, it made the movie confused, out of order, or unfocused. But they didn't fucking need that fuck. They did the narration. They just didn't fuck.
No.
It was because it was annoying. It didn't really add anything.
Yeah.
Like if you're not gonna have if you don't have smart dialogue, narration gets grating, and you're just like, okay. It's just like with the Artemis. You're just saying what's on screen already. Shut the. If that's all it's gonna be, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I know I said it before the broadcast, but the dialogue, the editing, I don't even think the costume choices really matter, so I won't even put that into the equation. But the dialogue, the editing, and the fact that there were people expecting an action film that were getting an action comedy that did not realize it was an action comedy. And then they sat down, they watched it with a vision of what they thought it was supposed to be, both those dissenting and, what's the fucking word for not dissenting? Wow, words are hard. The dissenting and the approving opinions sat down, they had the idea of what they wanted to see in their mind, and they did not get what they wanted. And then both sides left the theater and the gladiatorial arena of Twitter, both saying to themselves, well, fuck, this is kinda bad, but we don't want to say why, because if we do, we're giving our enemies ammo.
Right, so we're just boosting it.
Yes, because then it's like, if women go in and they say, this film was not good because it was more girl power than it was actually a good story based around female characters, not specifically because they're female, but because they're characters, their female experience enhances this personality that is already vivacious. And then they work together, they meld well and play off each other, both the actors and the characters, and it all comes together in a nice package. If women say that, they will then be shouted down by those who call themselves their friends. But if they say, oh, this is really great, this is the best feminist film ever, this deserves all the awards, then they can keep their heads. They don't get put on a pike. They don't get murdered for it. Same thing with the other side. If the supposed SJW and the anti-SJW, because I will never say those words without irony dipped in my throat. If you have one of those anti-SJWs that go in to watch the film and they sit down and they say, actually, I didn't care about the character being race swapped. Even if we say, okay, so the original Black Canary could have just been a white woman and then she had a mixed race child, and we may have not have seen that she was mixed race, but we could say that she's white on any given Tuesday. You know, Journey Smollett, the one that didn't lie about shit.
She was kind of like lying for him a little bit, downplaying the shit.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Get back to the movie.
Yeah, but Journey Smollett doing her damnedest to be a black woman. Even if I look at this, honestly, it does. Like her performance, it strikes me as like what you would imagine when you think of a Black Canary. Black Canary.
Mm-hmm.
No, everything from the outfits to what you would expect a Black Canary to be doing, a songstress in a club for this megalomaniac white man. It reads like blaxploitation.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah, because notice how she's dressed, right?
Yes.
She's got like these jeans on, like it's very like the Pam Grier type in the 70s movies. Like you got the tight pants, kind of bell bottomed at the bottom, the belts and shit.
Personally, I like that outfit. One of the best costume. I will say the best costume of the film, bar none.
That's a low bar, though.
It's a very low bar. But it's like, if the SJW, you know, a fucking amazing atheist or something, they went in, they were talking mad shit about it beforehand, and then they go see the film, and they come out, and it's like, actually, I didn't care all that much about the race swap. I cared more about the fact that the Bert and Ernie storyline didn't at all feel like it was important. It was an afterthought about this fucking diamond. because one of the most important things that like made me confused was I was like, oh, so you're bringing in Cassandra Cain, because that's a very well-known Batman character. That is the female Robin who's like a mute on purpose because she's silent and shit, and she becomes one of the best fucking Robins in the entire book story. And here it's like, okay, so you're bringing in Cassandra Cain early, fine, cool. But then I look here and it's like, this is not Cassandra Cain. Who is
This is Short Round.
Yeah, this is female Short Round, nigga. What? No! Stop it! Where's my acrobatics?
I stole the big diamond, Dr. Jones.
But it's like
She even wears a fucking baseball cap, like sure.
fucking baseball cap and a pink fucking cast so she can put the shit. Was her character's arm even fucking broken?
I don't know. Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. If it was just like, or maybe it was. I mean, it was to add to her sad backstory. Oh, my parents abused me or some shit.
Not even her parents.
Be surprised if it was.
Like the foster parents. The one scene where she's sitting on the stoop and Dina comes and talks to her and gives her, what does she hand her? A fucking 20-piece, a fucking $100 bill? I don't even fucking know. But she's sitting there on the steps and you can hear the foster parents clearly talking shit. And she's having dialogue and he's like, oh, bad parents? She's just like, no, fosters. And over in the background, you just hear, I didn't want that fucking kid! You did!
I can't have a chick in my chain, Alice. I can't have a...
And it's like, the whole scene is like, listen, kid, sometimes you just gotta get up and run and get away from these things. And I'm like, good message, but also, if she has a cast, and that's because she's getting the shit kicked out of her by these foster parents, can you call the foster parents? Can you call defense on this dad? I think he needs to go to jail.
Like, do something, Journey. Oh, well, actually, she has a habit of not really having any protecting crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is like in this world where women are overlooked, they work for megalomaniac men, and where black men steal the credit of female cops. Are you telling me nobody asked questions about Cassandra Cain being on a first name basis with the detective? So much so that Journey knows her name, that she knew her name. Eventually Harley would know her name, but Harley would recognize and know what the fuck's going on. All this shit happens. Nobody's ever taken that nigga to jail. Interesting. And then, of course, the other thing that someone such as the Amazing Atheist would have as a question, on top of, oh, I didn't really care about the characters, I was really just confused about what was the point of the film. When you have things like the entire story plot with the Bertinelli diamond and shit, the way that the film posters set the shit up made it seem as though it had something more to do with Cassandra Cain other than she just pickpocketed the diamond from Zaz. Zaz! That was his name! Victor Zaz! The man who originated the meme of making scars on yourself for all your victims. Oh my god, why couldn't I remember that at the time? Anyways, all of that shit. The way the posters played this up made it sound as though Cassandra had more to do with the diamond than she actually did. And somebody who should have been in more of the film, fucking the Bertinelli character, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, she's nowhere seen until like the scene where she's introduced, kind of. It's when they introduced the cop character. It's like, oh, there was a shooter, and they're going through the scene. That was actually a really nice scene, how they did the transition between that, because I think they did that live, where it's like they set up the shot and then they try to do like the splicing of it between the past and then her investigating it and narrating what happened. That scene should have not been the first time we hear about the Bertinelli character. The film should have started with talking about the Bertinelli diamond, why the diamond was important, and all that shit. Should have been like a discussion that they had. Just small fucking discussion. You know, something that the driver that was driving the small her child character to the scene of the crime would have been in. You know.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying like this narration holds everything back. Is like as soon as it gets to that scene, you got fucking Harley explaining the goddamn thing beat for beat. When like you said, it should have been the introduction because every that centers around the plot is in that fucking scene. Just just put the scene out there at the beginning. Harley fucking narrating it.
Yeah, because it's like, if the point is, oh, they need the diamond because the diamond's laser encoded with the bank numbers of all the Bertinelli accounts so that they can be able to take their offshore money, and he gets the money so he can have an army, and then he's protected from the cops because he has so much money he can buy off the cops, he can buy off the judges, he can buy off the prosecution, and he's just invincible because his dad is from the Janus Corporation and he got kicked out because he has no money. Why am I learning this dialogue while you motherfuckers are talking about this case while Ali Wong sits there with her supposed lesbian character ass in this fucking power business suit and these giant ass fucking glasses and shit? Why am I learning about this dialogue there instead of learning about this shit with dialogue involving the fucking character who should be trying to power grab the diamond? Why am I going through why am I watching scenes of, and mind you, they're really nice scenes of Ewan McGregor chewing the scenery. Really, they are.
Yeah.
But why am I watching Black Mass talk shit about these fucking affable, this fucking dialogue that sounds like it should be coming out of the mouth of the Sunnyvale fucking mayor wanting to become a snake demon and some shit? With these fucking with his fucking shrunken heads and acupuncture models. Why am I seeing this scene instead of seeing scenes explaining to me the fucking context of the diamond for as important as it should be? And it's not even a case of like just Harley coming out and saying it. Because that's the biggest problem for me. That's the problem with the story that makes everything not flow together and not work. Because it's constantly the stopping and the starting with telling shit over. Now, if you wanted to have the narrative be like, okay, here's what happened to me, and now we're in, if you wanted to use an in medias res story type, let the first false start be her talking about how she broke up with the Joker and shit. Because that's fine. That narration is great. Perfect. Mm-hmm. You can still even have her breaking the fourth wall in places with whatever narration he has, especially when she's doing with the gag that happened to be with the thing of blind luck and whatever, and her jumping onto the fucking ladder and shit. You can still have that as a false start. And then you go back to, actually, this is when the story really began. And then jump back over that. Don't go back and repeat those scenes to show different contexts of them from different angles. Just have those scenes play out better. Still show the family of the Golden Lions getting the dad, the mom, and the kid killed. Still have that scene. But instead of it being from the position of, oh, Victor Zsasz was there and we're seeing this because we're supposed to see it. Instead, have us learn why the Bertinelli character, I can't remember what her character's first name is, so I'm just going to refer to her as Mary. Just have Mary's character explain, either through like memory and then transition to Zaz's point. You could basically make it like a Rashomon film, have different perspectives of the situation that gives context to things that other people would not know and remember or realize, so that we as the audience can understand why it's important, and then let us piece together the reasons why it's important ourselves, right? So, perfect example. With the scene involving the gangland execution, have all four of those men be killed with the perspective of the killing being explained by the cop, showing and working out the details of what happened. You can still have the scene of them dying and whatever, but never show Huntress's face. I'm going to refer to her as Huntress. Just show don't show Huntress's face. Just show how Huntress was there. They're the one that executed, scene for scene, whatever. That way, you can still have your action scene. You can still have that there, but you still have the dialogue to fill it out. Because that's your cinematic style. That's the style you want to go with? Okay, let's follow that rabbit hole to its end. Have that, then do the false start with Harley. Have Harley present what she knows, so basically from where it actually starts to when she gets her ass kicked by Black Mask in the theater, or surrounded by all the dudes. Have her get conked the fuck out. Then have jury take over. Maybe do a little bit of a flashback where it's like, Harley's there at the club cutting a fool, and she breaks the legs of the driver, but this is when we get to see Journey for the first time, and then she gets hired as the driver, where she has like, you know, it does like a fadeaway dream flashback to like earlier in the day, where it's like, listen, she broke the driver's leg, so you're gonna be my new driver, and she's there at the scene where the unfacing happens, the face off shit. Have that shit happen, and have that happen from the viewpoint of Zaz, right? So have Dina be introduced, then when she gets knocked the fuck out, you take over for there with Journey's Dina Lace for Black Canary. Then when Black Canary transitions to Victor Zaz's point of view, because he was actually there to see that, because he was the one cutting the faces off, or Sionis, whoever, have them show that detail, then cut back to Journey, and then cut back to where it goes back to Harley, when she's now conscious and trying to look for Cassandra Cain. And then have that connect back to the detective, and on all of them figuring out all at once that she has the diamond, you know. Mm-hmm. Then, from there, have the scene where, instead of us learning details about, oh, the diamond is important because the diamond connects everything, instead, have that scene be about how she got fucked over by the captain. Because the only reason we know that she got fucked over by the captain and that she stole his credit was because Harley told us. So instead, in that scene, make use of Allie's character effectively. Make it be so that instead of her being like, okay, so here's the thing about the diamond, instead of us being told about the fact that she had her credit stolen from her, instead, have that scene play out as her still arguing the case, still mentioning the details, because we need to know the context about the diamond in the sense that we piece the things together, because it's still supposed to be a mystery. It's one of the it's the biggest mystery that ties everybody's plot lines together. They're all after the diamond. So let the mystery be, okay, what's the importance of this mystery character? Why is this diamond important? Why is it that Sionis is willing to try and kill gangland members to try to get them together? Why is he flipping out on them with the disrespect? Why isn't any of this important? Then we learn, oh, the reason why he's after the diamond is because his father's corporation kicked him out. So maybe we see about the Jan's corporation in the future. Set that plot point up for yourselves. I know they're not going to continue with this, and they're going to make The Suicide Squad, and that one's going to come out. But in the pretend future where this movie gets a sequel, you can still set that plot point up. Then, from there, the next plot point you set up is you feature the details of the story. Moving from there to, okay, so the reason why she talks about things to the captain in such a way is because they used to be partners. So then, have Ali Wong's character. I don't remember the fucking the DA's character's name or anything. Have Ali Wong's character come in and tell her, listen, why are you so worked up over this? Like, you've been like this ever since we broke up. So that way you can tell she's gay. You know, because we had to know she's gay for some reason? Question mark. Have that character then be like, you've never let this go ever since he stole that case from you. And her say, but it was my case. I did the work and he took the credit. So now we know that she got fucked over by her black partner, and the partner now is the captain, and she's still disrespected because we saw earlier in the scene that she got disrespected. We don't have to find that out, but we hear that from Harley too. Cut that shit out. Have that happen, and then later when she rats her out, make her feel betrayed, where it's like, shit, I can't trust the cops, I can't trust my former partner, and I can't trust my former lover. I'm out in the shit, I don't have any leads, fuck. That would have been a better effective way to then lead up to the introduction of Huntress than anything they did. Because Huntress's character is so integral to the bullshit that goes down. I don't know why they did not lead with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Because if they led with her personality and her developing this cringy ass shit, with her trying to work out her name, you know, for comedic reasons, it works in the context where it's like, oh, it's a running joke that she's upset about it because she has rage issues. But if you do the joke where it's like she's in the mirror trying to work this out, and it's like a joke between her and the people who made her an assassin, she's like, yeah, that sounds good. I am Huntress. And instead it turns out it's like everybody keeps mentioning it as like the crossbow killer, the crossbow killer, the crossbow killer. And the first time somebody mentions the crossbow killer, she has her flip out. That would have been great. That's something that would have worked. Another thing that was dumb, especially with the with the crossover things. When Harley gets the shit knocked out of her the first time, and she starts having the daydream where she's singing about the diamonds being a girl's best friend, cut that shit right the fuck out. Why is that there?
Really.
Why is
so
that
fucking pointless. It's just like, you get the reference?
It's like, yes, I too like to see this actress dressed up in interesting designs, but can you not? She's getting the shit kicked out of her. And then the ending of the film is like what I have probably the biggest problems with, because this entire set piece, you can keep the set piece, but the emotional dissonance between the end of that fight scene to the cop getting shot in the gut, that confused the shit out of me. Because for 5 minutes, I paused and I'm like, wait, did I skip a scene? But no, it's just like, they do the fight, and then it's like, oh, they forgot that there's a fight out there. It's probably another thing that was done for comedic purposes, but I was super fucking confused. It was super fucking confused. It is not, no poo pee pee. I don't have hopes for this franchise. This thing is dead in the water. They're rebooting it. We won't have to deal with these problems. I'm just asking questions because nobody asked questions while they were making this. There's so few changes you have to make this just a less shitty film. Just a little less shitty. Put a little bit of spice on it. Put a little originality into it. Just simple shit that you should have been able to see yourselves, feminists and Jerry Conway. Because this film was made and led by male feminists and women. How didn't you realize this? Did your test audiences not tell you the truth? Did they placate your emotions? Did they make you feel better because women? Maybe. But they should have fucking lied. They shouldn't have lied to your face. Should have told you like it was. It made the film confused. It made the film tiresome to watch. It made the film annoying at times. Because I wanted to fucking punt Cassandra Cain in the face. Like, the fight scenes and the choreography keep 95% of it. There's about 5% of it that we could have done without, and a lot of it...
Yeah, the one scene we're in the room with the fingers and shit and the hand.
Like...
That one was fucking...
I can understand how they put it together.
That was like choreography or just the way it was filmed. I guess they thought, oh, well, the camera's going around it like the thing is spinning, like, and the camera's going around it as it's spinning. It's like, no, that's not good. Because it's really showing how inexperienced your actors are with fight choreography. It's not a good look.
And it's really sad because it's like, man, she really hit. Oh, fuck me. Margot Robbie really hit that fight choreography. Like, she is the best part of the film, with the exception of Dina's outfit. But man, there's so much physical comedy in this, as much as it is actual acting and fight choreography. Because up until the actual out loud acknowledgement of like, when the fuck did she... Yes, this is... No, I remember this exactly, because it was an exact line from Dina's mouth. When the fuck did she have time to do a shoe change? Everything before that moment for fight choreography. Even the dumb shit involving the slide. Like, you could cut out maybe 50% of the shit that happened inside of that, like, anticlimactic final battle inside of this fucking amusement park, like, funhouse shit. You could have cut out, like, maybe 50% of that, and it would have worked out, because it went on for a little bit too long. But you could have had 95% of the acting and the physical comedy and the actual fight choreography remain in this film, because 95% of it is just Harley Quinn actually showing the reason why this film should have existed. Like, Harley Quinn beating the shit out of people with gag weapons and a baseball bat. Yes. Absolutely. Say it again, Queen. Louder for the people in the back. I loved it. I loved it. And I hate to say that I loved it, but I loved it. I ate the shit. I ate the shit with a happy grin on my face. I was laughing. I was cackling. I was going back over the scene because I actually happened to be a stunt actor on top of a actual on-screen talent and shit. I looked at every single aim and I was like, oh man, this actually hits good. This is the kind of choreography that they should have had in all the other DCEU films. Because this shit hits. It hits. Like, it looks convincing. Most of the times, and this is something I felt like during Elizabeth Angel's Charlie Angel reboot for 2020, this is one of the biggest complaints with that film that I think everybody has, which is, I don't believe the action. I don't believe that these half-pound women are throwing around these muscle-bound dudes. No, there's no fucking way. In this, I can see it. I can get it. I understand. But, there is a but. But, it becomes grating. Because there's 3 specific points in the film. It's the Gotham City Police Department fight scenes. All of them. It's some of the fight from the funhouse area, and then it's anything that has to do with watching any of the other Birds of Prey actually doing physical altercation. The fighting, when it involves Harley Quinn, is fast-paced, it's well-cut, it's dynamic. But it could have used even better work. There are some scenes where it's like, you could have done another take for that. You could have cut that out. That could have been done again. You know, some things that it just doesn't look like it makes sense. It kind of makes sense because physically, the space that they use in the screen to show it and the action that happens follows internal logic. Some things, like body mechanic wise, do not follow internal logic. You know, some of the downward swoops and swipes and some of the arm, the fucking bat fucking nunchaku fu that she was trying to do with that bat. Some of that shit didn't make sense. You could have done that shit again. You could have. They chose not to, but they could have. That shit kind of didn't make sense. I understand why you were doing it. You were trying to do something. You had to fill the frame. You had to do something with your hands. But it's like, if it was that bad, just find a better way to film it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, when you compare her solo fight scenes with, like, any of these extras, like the fight scene with the police officers and her going through the frame, which is a nice touch, using the gag weapons, because I don't know if they really wanted to have her do anything involving killing people, but damn, I did not see what they were going to do to Sionis coming in the end. Technically, they set it up with the grenades, but I still did not expect that to happen. Honestly didn't. When you compare her solo scenes versus the stunt actors, and then you involve the other actresses and their stunt choreography, and you compare and contrast them, ooh. Ooh. I believe Journey's acting. I don't believe Mary. I don't know. I can't remember the other actress's name. I don't believe her shit. And what the fuck was Cassandra Cain doing in those scenes? Why was she even there? Like, she's gonna get kidnapped again. I know that's gonna happen. I know she's gonna get kidnapped by Black Mask. So instead of this amalgamate of like the women having their power moves and getting their one versus many scene, instead, why not have a scene where you're doing a long take oneer? Yeah, but you know Carl's fucking. Oh, come on, Peepoo. Oh, come on, Peepoo. No. My God. But instead of doing these multiple like take scenes where you have Harley, and then you have the Black Canary, and then you have Huntress, and then you have, I think her character's name is LaGuardia or something. Her character looks like her last name would have been LaGuardia. Just saying. Just being real. You have the detective and them doing their fight scenes, and it's like, instead of having these scenes where these women are now facing these multiple combatants in ways that they were not already doing when it's a 1-to-1 fight earlier in the film, why not do a one-er take where once they go down the slide and they go to this entire area, have it so that you're following through how each of them are trying to keep the goons away from Cassandra, who in the middle is like the focal point of where the action's happening. So have the camera following Cassandra Cain once they go down the slide and they're in the room and the feminist music starts and shit. Have it that Cassandra Cain stumbling from set piece to set piece in that scene where you make it look like a one shot, because this is something that I think Birdman talked about. We'll talk about the Birdman and how that shit affects CinemaSins like we did earlier. But we'll save that for after I talk about Underwater. But in this scene, instead of what they did, have it so that Cassandra Cain is where the focal point of the camera starts with. And then, as she stumbles around the room to try to escape people, have each of the girls kick away or punch away or break away or disable or outright fucking maim and kill any of these dudes that are coming at her. And when it's like, have it where it's like when one of the dudes try to grab her, have it go from like a jerking motion where the camera then focuses on that mook, then have the girl come into the frame or have them reacting to what happens then. So let's say Cassandra gets grabbed on her arm by the big bulky black dude that Harley fucking hits in the nuts with the mallet or the bat. I think she had the mallet at that point, but with the fucking weapon. Have him grab her by the arm. Out of nowhere comes Dina fucking kicking him in the face, and then it's focusing on her and her fights, and then you see the girls in the background in their area doing their thing, and Cassandra then stumbles back into frame, and she like slings her over towards Huntress, and you focus on Huntress's version of the fight, and then to Harley, and then back to the detective, and maybe do one or two circulations of that, make it look competent. You know, do something that's like a version of Daredevil's hallway scene, where I can clearly see what's happening. I see the moves, I see the action, but it does not feel like it's a billion cuts a minute. Where it's like I'm cutting from here to here with this set piece, and then what's happening in this frame, and then we're over here with this, and then we're over here with this. It would have been better. That way, it would not feel as confusing as it is. It would not look as bad as it does. And by comparison, they look more competent. You know what I'm saying? Because that way, they look competent. And it looks better instead of being a mess.
Right.
Now that's just my take. What would you do in that situation if it was you?
So well, I can't come. I don't have anything else to give, because like I said, the way you lay it out is like, yeah, that's exactly that's how I would make coherent version of this if I had the patience. Well, like if you had like the kind of setup I had, you could probably recut the whole fucking.
Probably. The thought occurred to me. Also, they're kind of right. It's like the live is just single player ranting about shitty movies and occasional commentary. You're not wrong, chat. You're not wrong. I talked about this before. If you don't fucking stop me, I will go on and on and on. Because the nigga is spitting, but the nigga could also shut the fuck up. But yeah, Birds of Prey. As a film, in concept, good idea, but on execution, Shadow itself fell over the finish line, didn't even make it, didn't place, did not finish, no awards, you lose, good day, sir, leave the premises. What are your final thoughts, at least? Do you think there's anything that they could have done better in the future so that they could not make this mistake with Suicide Squad? Because I'm really hoping James Gunn does a good job there.
I think he will. I don't think it's like a question that he will, because he seems to be taking his time with it and really putting thought into it. But I haven't really watched a bad movie of his, to be perfectly honest. Not even like that sci-fi flick he came out with. I think it's called Slither.
Oh yeah, Slither's a
Um,
bop. Slither's good.
yeah, yeah. I've seen one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I haven't seen all of them, but like from what I've seen, it was actually pretty good. Like I don't think he's gonna fuck. I think he'll do a pretty. It'll at least be better than the other Suicide Squad. Not that I really, not that I hated it less of the other Suicide Squad because I was like, oh, this is a decent movie here. Like I'm liking what I'm seeing most. That when I like half of what I'm. So, but like it's it's still good. It still needed an improvement. It still needed a reboot, if you will. So, but like it can't. It can only be better.
Mm-hmm. It's, for me, the Suicide Squad. It's I don't have enough emotions to even rant about it. It's like, here's where you made a mistake. Here's where you made a mistake. Fix this. You're golden. It doesn't. It does not need, nor do I wish to dignify its mistakes with words or response.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dog shit turd that the mistakes should be clear enough to anyone who watches it what should be done. God bless Cara Delevingne and her curves, but bitch, your body can't save this one. Maybe it didn't help with Valorant, but Valorant didn't do good either. But that's because people didn't get what Valorant was, kind of. Which is kind of the mistake of what happens when you try to adapt something like Valorant and the planet of a thousand cultures, the planet of a thousand cities or something. I forget what the title was, but Valorant is like that's like a hard.
Oh, Valerian.
Is it pronounced Valerian? Because I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
wait, you're right. It's Valerian. I'm French and I'm supposed to know that. What the fuck is wrong with me? But like Valerian is a deep cut pulp, much like how John Carter of Mars is a deep cut pulp, and John Carter of Mars is what created the Superman mythos to even make something like Superman, and they fucked that film up badly too, by the same degree. That too is an open and shut case.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to dissect that. Yeah, it's obvious. So, it's painful. Yeah, I was probably thinking of the game, but it's painful to look at because even before as a non-critic, just as an audience member, you're like, man, because you know they give a shit about these. So some of these guys, they think that these films are wonderful, that they are wonderful, and then they get told that they're dog shit, and then they feel bad about themselves. And the ones that are, yeah, and then ones that are horrible dog shit that they get told are super great, they're just like, no, nigga, you made a bad film. You're bad. You should feel bad. If people did that more in an audience, I feel like we'd get better movies. Because if the industry could be honest with itself and actually, if you could just have a nigga translator, just put a nigga translator in the room, and whenever Cadence goes up and tells the board of the Academy of Sciences something, just have a nigga translator in the room. I'll even volunteer myself. Just have a nigga translator, and it's like the summer box office did not do well. Nigga, I was bored as fuck. There was nothing to watch. This shit wasn't entertaining. I didn't see not dick nor tit. I am embarrassed. Just have a nigga translator in the room. Just tell the truth. And it'll do better than that. Also, I need to take one quick second. My mother needs something from me. I'll be right back. Take care of the chat. Take care of the chat. I am back.
Ah, shit out of.
Not everybody has the gift of gab like I do to just rant at dead air.
I'm gonna make a sandwich for myself. I'm be right back.
That's fair. So, chat, how are you feeling today? Are y'all enjoying shit? I hope y'all are enjoying shit. I know we lost a couple of people there at the beginning because of things happening, but I don't know where Amy went. I'm not sure. Let me check. Yeah, she might have actually gone off for the night, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, I hope y'all liking the stream tonight. I know there's some people that are from Jay's channel who I've seen here before. Hello, welcome, hi. Welcome to TopKek. It's not often I get to have fun talking about movies with other people. So if it feels like I'm going on too long doing a bit, I promise you, that's not that's not something that just happens. That's just me. I was being serious when I said a nigga could spit, but a nigga can also shut the fuck up. But Stefan knows what it's like, so if you have to ask him what it's like, ask him. And it is nice. Everybody's friends. Everybody can be able to talk openly amongst themselves. Because, again, the world is dark. World is dark, hell is hot. We want shit to talk about. Want to entertain ourselves. Speaking of, is there any movies that the audience would suggest to me to watch in expectation of shit to make me cringe at? Because it would be content for us to look at, for me to talk about in the future. Just saying. Also, I apologize if anybody is offended by our language. You can direct all insults into my inbox at Mr. Random, and ensure to remind me exactly what to and not to do. There's been a couple of times where something happens on a live show. Somebody says something or somebody does something and somebody gets offended. I need y'all to remember, we're not trying to target anybody else and offend them and single them the fuck out. We just spit. What comes out, and what it is what it is. Fortunately, I only have one bigoted bone in my body. And fortunately, I only use it when women tell me to use it. So, there's that. Now, the next film we're going to talk about is a film that I watched, but Jay didn't. Ah, shit. Can't get my tooth into my popsicle. The film that we're going to talk about next, once Jay gets back, I've seen it, she doesn't. Hopefully, y'all like it as much as I liked it. It's called Underwater. Hurt my teeth. Called Underwater. And it is a film starring none other than TJ Miller and TJ Miller and Kristen Stewart. It's not horrible. It can really put you off if you're not prepared for it. But it is what it is. Keep talking to the chat while we wait on her to make her sandwich. Not a movie, but have you seen the newest Xbox post about LGBTQI inclusive games featuring Life is Fucking Strange? I did see that. And my question to that is who looks at those games as being inclusive? Yeah, this is more not like Life is Strange. It's more like Life is Cringe, Alan. I agree. I can't think of anything that's more cringe than other Frenchmen trying to come up with dialogue for what it sounds like a teenage female character would say. I can't think of anything that's more cringe than a story about how Trump's walls on the border is dividing us from the real people around us. I don't know what's more cringe when you're trying to write a story about how much you hate Trump and you somehow get underage sex involved in the story. Something which a whole bunch of people didn't actually write about, except for Metro. Metro wrote about how Life is Strange 2 had underage sex in it. I find it very cringe that there are people who would make such a product and then say to themselves, ah, yes, that's a good idea. This is wonderful. We are smart users. We're smart directors. We're smart writers. I don't get how those people could work. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't fucking understand, dude. I mean, imagine trying to make a game where you shit on any person in particular. I don't care if it's something that the right did or something that the left did. Imagine trying to shit on a character because you hate, or not even shit on a character, but you literally just shit on an archetype of a person, of men or women somewhere over there. Imagine hating someone that much that you have to burn them in effigy in your video game. There are a lot of people in this world that I dislike, but I don't hate anybody enough like that to let them live rent-free in my fucking head. Not I. No siree. I agree. Life is Strange 2 is going to become very relevant in the coming years. You know another game is going to do that? The Last of Us 2. Where characters have screams that are more annoying and more loud than the Wilhelm scream. It's just beautiful. It's like it rhymes. Max, rewind now. Oh god. Oh, where did we go wrong with those with those kind of things? We went so wrong somewhere. I don't know where we gotta go in order to get it back, but I hope we get it back soon. A group of collectively hundreds of people made that game just to take a shot at current events, just to waste resources and potential. It is. I also find it weird that it's always stories that are like, we humans, we're the monsters too, or we're the real monsters. I always find it weird how they start off from a premise that could actually be very interesting. Something that hasn't really been done well, if at all, if ever before. And they take said concept, and it's like, oh yes, let's flesh this out. But then they forget where they started from. And then they make another follow-up game, and they're like, listen, how does this actually help us sell our zombie game? And they're like, zombies? I thought it was about the lesbian poop party. I thought it was about how we destroy people with the cycle of violence. Because, you know, that makes sense. How we forgot about the zombies in our zombie game. For comparison, consider if Dead Rising 2 was not about the zombie outbreak, what was more about the intercut celebrity game show that was happening in the background of Dead Rising 2, where instead of focusing on Zombrex, you were more focused on collecting points from killing zombies. Or the storytelling of a game like Saints Row 2, and Saints Row 3, and Saints Row 4, and technically Gata the Hell itself. Rather than being about the story of these characters and about what you know and learn about them, you instead learn nothing about the characters. You learn nothing about Zinyak. You learn nothing about them as people. You just go from beginning to end with this wacky fucking story, and the only thing you're focused on is how the world of Mr. Genki works. And shit like that game show. That's exactly what's fucking happening with those video games. And it fucking sucks to watch, dude. It's so bad. Like, but you just mostly want to play it for the gameplay, Stefan? You're a braver man than I am. I'm not wasting my money on a console. I'm not wasting my shit on a console or anything to do with that company. Like, if I never buy another Naughty game, if I never buy another game from Naughty Dog again, it'll be too fucking soon. Like, oh my god, it's so. How did we get here? Again, how did we get here? How did we get here where we have to write off entire companies because of one dude? Neil Druckmann is an embarrassment. Back in 2018, when leaks of Anita Sarkeesian being Naughty Dog's HQ, that should have been a red flag. Yeah. Technically, anything that ever has Sarkeesian's name on it should be a red flag, but that's too late for that, boys. Too late for that. Me, personally, if I had to pick an entire genre of video games that I would just forbade anyone from making, I would make them the kind of games that Life is Strange and The Last of Us are. It has to have a plot, it has to have a point, it has to have a reason, or you don't get to make it. And I only say that because it's painful to watch people make shit like this, and then have people go around saying, oh yes, this is actually great, this is actually important, this is actually the shit that we want. It kills me to watch people do that, and for then people to pretend that it's anything other than what it is. Because it's very obvious that it is what it is. It's very obvious that it's more about the human element of the story. Well then why did you put the zombies there? Just have the human element story. Have it be a story about survivors in the wilderness where they're tagged off during their environments and they have this cycle of violence that chases them around. Just have that be the story, you know? But instead of doing that, they decided, oh, we need to have zombies. Okay, so do something with the zombies. But no, we want to tell the human side of the story. Then why the fuck do you have the zombies? It'd be the same thing with superpowers. Also, I'll be right back in 30 seconds. Yes, Alvin, exactly like The Walking Dead. Exactly like The Walking Dead. Story's probably going to be pure trash. Any ponies will damage and control the game in the coming weeks. Oh no, it's worse than that. Like, the damage has already been done. The internet never forgets. Memes. Memes, my boy. Also, Jay is back, but she's eating, so you guys gotta give her a second. The lady needs time to prepare the delicatessen. Plus, never interrupt black people while we eat. We will murder you. We will. I can remember all the times I almost murdered somebody because they tried to get between me and my chicken. Gameplay can vary any game's story. Well, the gameplay is the problem with something like The Last of Us and something like Life is Strange. Because if you tell me that you're gonna make a game that's about decision and choice, and instead you take away all choice because no choice matters but the last choice you make, then you're not making a game about choice. You're making a voting engine. You're making a game that's not designed to give people a tailored experience. You've been playing Persona 7 or 11. Oh no, that's the thing that I hate about people who play games like Persona and don't understand things. That's not exactly the thing that you're becoming. I'll know when you become the thing I hate, Stefan. But to finish my thought, when you make a game like The Last of Us, you're making a game that's based on story. When your story is bad, it doesn't matter what your gameplay is. It's dog shit. Now, sometimes, with something like Devil May Cry, that is... I had a brain freeze. I bit down the ice too quick. With Devil May Cry, you sometimes have the interplay between gameplay and story segregation, right? In the story of Devil May Cry, for example, Devil May Cry 3, it's a game that a lot of people may have played, because some people may not have the DMC HD collection. If you don't, get it. But in DMC 3, the story of the game is about Dante learning about Mary, Arkham, Virgil, dealing with Virgil, dealing with wherever the hell he is, if he's in Redgrave City or not, dealing with the Tower of Timinigru, and dealing with everything happening there. And even if you're following the plot of the game, you know that Dante loses to Virgil in round 1. He goes into a stalemate with Virgil in round 2. And canonically, he fights Virgil a 3rd time in the story, after they kill Arkham and send him out of the demon world, where he then dies by Mary's hands, to continue fighting, where they fight in the edge on the world of Demon's Parallax, where they are on the precipice between the human and the demon world. Dante wins that fight. He ends up banishing him to wherever the fuck he ends up, which is, I guess they called it Mundus's dimension. He falls victim to Mundus, Virgil, and Dante goes on to still have his unnamed business, where in the future of DMC1, he finally calls it Devil May Cry. The story is well set in stone. And even if you fail at the story, it's not like that's a decision that then locks you out of understanding what happens. Alternatively, you and I, even as much as we care about the story of DMC, because it's a really good story, it's a very good series, the main series. I don't look at Dante at all. I don't care about DMC Devil May Cry. Because DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition is what happens when you try to take a story like Devil May Cry and you fill it with hipster garbage. But the thing about Devil May Cry that we care about is not the story. We like the story, we like the characterization, we love the characterization, we accept it, everything that comes with it, but that's not why we play that game. We play that game because I get to style on my enemies and beat the shit out of them with new and interesting combos. That's why I play that game. That's not the same thing with The Last of Us. That's not the same thing with Life is Strange. That's not the same thing with Life is Strange 2. People are playing those games because they want to see the story and how things happen. Same thing with Until Dawn. Same thing with Detroit New Human. Same Detroit Become Human. Same thing with Beyond Two Souls. Same thing with any game like that. And most importantly, the one who started all this shit, Heavy Rain. That is why people play those games. They are very narrative driven. And when they're narrative driven like that, and you fuck up the story, and you fuck up characterization, and you fuck up anything that's important, you destroy the ability for a person to understand what the fuck's going on. Why do I care? Why would I care about your game if you didn't care enough about your characters to write them competently? Dead story, end of. Also, Alan is correct. It's kind of like the Fallout games. They mostly suck at gameplay until at least Fallout 4, but they're good at storytelling and at the decision making, especially in New Vegas, where you get a ton of different endings based on small decisions made throughout the game. That is how games are really supposed to be made. It's how movies are supposed to be made, narratively speaking, because that's how decisions happen. Things aren't supposed to just happen on screen, and they happen because the plot said so. It's supposed to be character choices. Choices that were made in the sense that this is a person and a character. I mentioned this being one of the reasons why I am very upset about Netflix Witcher. I talked to Jay about this while we were before the broadcast, but I'll repeat it here. One of the many reasons why I do not like that is because this is very clearly the problem with something like Netflix Witcher. There's a lot of problems with Netflix Witcher, and when I make that video in the future, I will discuss those and bring up any of them that I think are relevant. But this is the most important one. It is basically attached to the same problem. But when you don't understand a character, and when you lose sense of what a character is supposed to be, or what the point of your story is, and things become blurry. And I'm not saying that Detroit Become Human is a bad game. I'm saying the trope that follows these kinds of games is that they are beholden to their stories, making narrative sense. Without them, you don't have anything. You can't have anything. Because if the gameplay's shit and the story's okay, I can get a pass. Same thing if the gameplay is good, but the story is shit. But when both of them don't make sense, or when your decision-based story with the butterfly effect, which is why I mentioned them, Until Dawn and all of these other games have these butterfly effect storyline progression systems, where decisions that you make are supposed to affect the gameplay in meaningful ways, and the only thing that changes is like a miniature detail in another scene. This is probably something I was focused on in something like the Stanley Parable. But when you have those kinds of games get made, and the thing that you're supposed to be watching is the story, the thing you're supposed to care about is the story, is the characters, when you do those badly, it hurts everything. Because you can ride a ship with having better shit in that ship. But if the ship is supposed to get you the contents, and the contents are rotten, doesn't matter what you dress that ship up in. You know? Doesn't matter if it's a fast ship, doesn't matter if it's a carrier, doesn't matter if it's a galleon. The ship sinks. The ship sinks with the cargo. And to finish the thought, with Netflix Witcher, the problem with that is that you have mischaracterization and then you have just blatant miscasting. And it hurts because it's not like they didn't have the book in front of them, because they were adapting from a book, that series. They were supposed to be doing a faithful retelling and recreation and transliteration, a one-to-one comparison between it and what they were trying to work towards. Now this is a bit of a problem, because the problem with The Witcher is that it's more popular as a game than it was as the novels. There are plenty of people who love one or the other, or both. But you would have to take in consideration that if you adapt something and people want to see that adaptation of what you made from the game rather than what happens in the book, then you're going to have a problem when they see those characters on screen and when they follow the storylines. There are some people who probably have never read them whatsoever and have no idea what I'm talking about. But I think everybody is aware that it was based on a book, and then it was adapted from said book to make video games about them. And then they chose to make the Netflix series. And then the Netflix series was about trying to follow the plot of the books, but choosing to go out into way left field with what they chose to adapt and not adapt. It's decisions like that that affect things. Especially with the films that we've talked about thus far. When you make those grand liberties, if you're gonna have fun with it, you should have fun with it. If you don't. If you're not gonna bother, don't even bother. Don't even make the film. But I'm not gonna say don't make those films, even though I did earlier say if I was my choice, if it was my choice and that was what I wanted to do, that I would do that. But I'm not gonna take that choice away from other people. This shit doesn't make sense. I'd rather see what comes out of somebody's filthy fucking mind and see what they come up with. It's very, very cynical. You know? It's very, very cynical. But I think they're already cynical. Oh, wow. You said what I was about to say, Alan. You think it's very cynical, even if removed already, to kill a beloved character because they don't suit your new views or don't get along with your new characters? Yes. Absolutely. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with JLongb0ne pro golfing, but dude, the way they chose to unceremoniously kill that character, sin. Fucking sin. Because what they did to that is exactly what they did to the Star Wars characters. You're right. If you wanted to have new characters, allow the old characters to be on screen and then pass the torch, and then you don't have to worry. Let the characters leave with some dignity. Let them go out with some grace. It's basic character shit 101. Technically, it's Tokyo writing, you know. In order to understand that, you'd have to understand something like pro wrestling, but because then you're starting to talk about some things like baby faces and heels. But if you're gonna have a character who's a hero, who was the protagonist of the last game, or is a fan favorite character, If you're gonna write that character off and kill them, let them go out on a high note. Let their death be meaningful, not meaningless. If their death is supposed to be meaningless, because you're telling the story of something like the world of the Game of Thrones, it's not necessarily that their death is meaningless per se in the plot narrative, because of course their death can spur someone else on to action. Their actions in their living life, now that they've been killed, make somebody say that, oh no, they killed my master and or my lover and or my father and or my brother or sister or my distant relative or my foster parents, you know? And it's like, their death was meaningful to me, even though you didn't know who they are, you know? The moment in the wow, why do I stutter so fucking much? My brain moves faster than my mouth does sometimes, or the inverse actually. Much like in Endgame, you have Scarlet Witch walk up to past Thanos, and say, "You took everything from me," and he's like, "I don't even know who you are." It's that kind of moment, you know, right? Like their death was with meaning. People are willing to fight for their memory. But if the character dies with no meaning, where it just actually serves no purpose, they could have just lived, it's just dumb. You know? Cold liquid. I keep forgetting I have a cavity until I do things like that. It's worse in Star Wars because they pretty much throw everything accomplished in the old movies. You're correct. For example, if Palpatine is now the big bad behind everything, and Snoke was just a tool of Palpatine, whether you say it was an actual clone or it was a human life force puppet that he worked his fucking force fingers up the butt of, and he worked his mouth like a puppet for all those years, and in actuality, the reason why Ben Solo was tempted to the dark side was because of Palpatine. If that's how you choose to interpret what happened, you have just undercut the victory and the sacrifice of Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker died so that Luke could live. He was given the chance to recognize the goodness in his heart. He was given the chance to redeem himself. And now his death is in vain. Same technical idea with Luke Skywalker as well. There was no reason to kill his character in The Last Jedi other than because you wanted him out of the narrative. That is why, because that was a Rian Johnson choice, why J.J. Abrams brought him back into the fold. We have to zoom straight past the two directors made this film, and I'm not sure anybody who knows, but The Force Awakens was thought of second of and was written after the writing of The Last Jedi. That is confirmed as a fact. Take that fact as you will. But zooming right past two directors making that film, the narrative dissonance between Luke Skywalker taking his lightsaber and throwing it over his shoulder and saying, "I don't care about that, it's dead to me, I cut myself off in the Force, leave me alone, go away, I want to be an old man who drinks blue milk," to, "This weapon is supposed to be treated with dignity and honor." Like, nigga, I don't believe you. Nigga, fuck you. You lying to me. I watched you. I saw you. What do you mean? The cognitive dissonance does not help you understand. You can say, "Oh, well, okay. I understand that, I guess." But not really. Not really. And that's some kind of his problem that's coming into video games. That's why I brought it up. It's not all video games, mind you. That's enough of them. If video games are becoming like movies, these tropes that are important in video games and understanding how they work as a functional engine and how they are treated as a functional narrative are going to become intrinsically linked and will not be ignorable. Because the narrative of a story only works as well as the vehicle delivering it. Because cinema is a visual medium, an audiovisual medium, the editing, the writing, the acting, the scripting and blocking, and everything to do with the special effects that you choose to put into frame that is not created with a puppet, and any special effects that are done, practical or otherwise, will affect it. With games, you have more freedom, but when you constantly limit your choices by trying to apply these extra standards to yourselves to try and live your Hollywood career on hard mode, when you say things like what we talked about earlier, when you try to put in diversity quotas into films, are you going to apply that to all films, including period pieces? Cool, so we can never have a proper period piece again. Shit like that becomes a problem. How much of a problem remains to be seen. But with the time period, what we have left for now, until we get to the point where the shit actually hits the fan and everything starts to go tits up, what I would suggest is pay very, very close attention to June. Pay attention to what happens, or not even June, July. Is it coming out June or July now? I don't remember. I think they said they pushed it back to June 6th or something. Which that means they should already have the things out now. If that's not what's happening, then correct me, because I might be wrong about that. But pay attention to what happens to The Last of Us 2. Because whatever the audience reaction is, that is what you're about to see happen in films in a big way within the next 4 years. Quote me on that. At this point, we're just waiting on Jay to be finished. If the audience has any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer. I am your puppet. This Friday? Damn! I thought it was like mid-July or something. Or am I thinking of something else? There are reviews out. I'm worried about those reviews. Because normally, people of the usual suspects like to all be in agreement with each other. The embargoes are what I'm waiting on. Because there are takes that are like, oh, this is the best game ever, 10 out of 10. And then, shockingly enough, from places like Kotaku and Polygon, Waypoint sites, contributors even. Excuse me, I burped. But for Waypoint kind of sites, like those Kotakus and Polygons and Rock Paper Shotguns and places like that, and even some blogs of some well-known folks. I say well-known, but when I say well-known, I mean Movie Bob and Jimquisition. You got people like that who are saying this game is ass. And they're saying that shit loud. And I'm looking at it like, interesting. I wonder why they'd say that. IGN said it was trash and gave it a 10 anyways. Oh yeah. Of course it did. Of course it did. Nothing they say in the review matters. The only thing that matters to them is the score. Because the score is what allows people to say, oh, this was a good game. Don't you know? It got a high score. Honestly, I'd say Sabrina. That's not how you spell Sabrina, but I'm going to forgive you for that. And Riverdale or walking, talking Netflix shitposts of tier cringe. See, the problem is that Riverdale is actually not a Netflix show. It's made by the same person, but Riverdale is what happens when you want to make some very early post-90s modern day era teenage sex bait but you don't have the ability to do so freely because you have a standards and practice department. We also talked about that one before the broadcast, and oh boy, we'll get into that after talking about Underwater. Because I've watched both of those shows. I love Sabrina, but I hate Riverdale. And it's because, even though Sabrina is the one that has the full right to just outright be scummy about it, Sabrina attempts to be a good show. Does it have its underpinnings and its undertones? Oh, yes, sir, it does. They do not hide them whatsoever. But, because they don't hide them, because I don't hide them, or they don't hide them, you can see the show for what it is. Does it have its slant? Yes, of course it does. Is it trying to push out some kind of narrative? Not exactly. Not really. If you're going to have characters that are just, that are words being read by actresses and actors on screen, it's about as much as a narrative as you can create and make. But if the point of the show is that, hell, it's supposed to be about this teenage character who's going to get magical powers, and she's a witch, and she lives a half-life between the human world and the witch world. If that's the narrative, nothing feminist has anything to do with anything there. And that's been shown. There's been two, well, technically three, but I have not watched the third season yet. I'm saving that, because I know it's going to be good. Or at least I expect it to be good. They haven't disappointed me yet with Sabrina. But, even though people would claim Riverdale is the big hit and Sabrina's the shit one, they're inversed. Sabrina's actually the best one, and Riverdale is shit. And if you were to go by scores and reviews that you saw on the internet alone, you would never know that. So I always encourage people to go see things for themselves with their own eyes. We also talked about this before the broadcast, because I prefer people have things to complain about that are real, not things that are not real. I don't want to take anyone else's word for it other than my own. And I would rather be a straight shooter on that, because if I give it to people straight no chaser, and I just say what I see, and I show you what I saw, then you can make that decision of your own choice. Because yes, it does. It is why they hate YouTube. They hate it when people make them irrelevant. Because the industry only makes money when they're able to do kind of what the quartering does, which is they report on news, but they do not report where they got the source. But they say, this is publicly available information. Okay, cool. It's publicly available. Produce the link for it. But they don't. They don't put that link there. Instead, they make you have to go through video after video after video after video until somebody finally shows the actual link to the shit, where they got it from, and then that way you find out, oh, so that's where that came from. But by the time you do that, you've already clicked through 15 different articles. Which, low-key, high-top, thank God for archives. Am I right? Without it, they wouldn't be going out of business. But like I was saying, with Riverdale and with Sabrina, you're not wrong in saying that Riverdale feels like it's a show that should belong on Netflix. But until the CW either stops making it themselves and they just take production to Netflix, and then it really gets fucking raunchy, or they go to another network entirely to make the show, it's going to continue being what it is. They have no reason to change it. For no reasons are they going to stop what they're doing, because they know that it's going to have enough entertainment, it's going to have enough of an audience to make it interesting to watch. They know that. Because it's like, well, it's not even just particularly them. This is a problem with Netflix productions entirely. A show that everybody could get to enjoy and watch, but nobody does watch because it's buried under thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of content on a platform like Netflix. compared against the products that bring you to look at the platform. Your Castlevanias, your Sabrinas. I don't think they feature Riverdale as like a product that they offer directly there, but your Friends, or at least the back catalog of Friends, your Seven Deadly Sins and your Little Witch Academias, your Ultramans, your Netflix Death Notes. Things that people should hear about and should see, like Castlevania, they don't. Also, goodbye, Stefan. See you on tomorrow's broadcast. But for things like what should be seen and what should be watched, and things that you should be watching, you never hear a single thing about from these journalists. You don't hear them talk about them in articles. You don't hear them talk about them even in their tweets. What are they watching? They're watching garbage television. They're watching dog shit. And what dog shit does this television show push, politically speaking? The same shit they already believe in. I had to take my finger off the control key so I could grab another Popsy. But yeah, they're watching the same dog shit that they push in their political writing, that they put in their games, and that they put in their movies, in the fucking television shows that they watch that aren't made by them. And that's not even to say that they don't know somebody who's on the team who made the show that believes the same shit they believe. This is 10,000% the case with a channel like ABC Family / Freeform. And it's not shocking because this is something that came from Haim Saban. But that's a different conversation entirely. Also, welcome back. How was your food?
Oh, fine.
So, underwater. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
But I think I'm gonna go at like 10:30.
What?
Because
time is it?
it's like 10. Well, where I'm at, it's like 10:60.
Okay, my clock's at 11:16, so we have like another 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, because I have to, I gotta edit a little bit of this video I'm working on. Otherwise, I'm gonna hate myself for the morning.
No problem. It shouldn't take me that long to get through since we already talked about it, so I can get broader points faster. So, Underwater, chat, is a film that I do not remember who made it. Well, like I told you before she went to eat her food, it is a film that stars Kristen Stewart, whatever the actress's name that was Colleen Wing in Iron Fist, another dude who I don't recognize, another dude that I think you said was from like one other film. Not the black dude, but the white dude. I don't remember his name.
I only know about T.J. Miller and the black dude.
I think you can look up the casting and see if you can source where all these people are from, because I cannot remember their names. I did not bother to learn their names. Thanks for just pops so I can actually speak. But it stars Kristen Stewart and T.J. Miller as like the most primary characters. Technically, T.J. is more of a minor character. But the way that I named these characters as I was watching the film is I named them Stewart, Colleen, TJ, the Cap, Nigga Gon' Die, and the White Guy. The way this film starts is it starts out with Kristen Stewart's character. I think her character's name is Nora something. I don't think they ever said her last name, but it's probably some in there somewhere. But it starts out with her giving a monologue about some dude telling her something about fear. It does come back to a bookend at the end of the story, and it makes sense for what it's about. And she's in the bathroom, either after a shower or as she's getting dressed, and she follows the sound of this clanking metal and this scraping to an ominous drip coming from the ceiling. Then, all of a sudden, an integrity breach happens, And she and another black dude are amongst the cast of people who are able to get ahead of this giant flood of water that's coming. Everybody's not waking up. She's trying to wake them the fuck up because of the integrity breach, and she's trying to make her way to the bulkhead so that she can so she can be able to cut off the pressure before it causes explosive decompression. The other black dude and her make it into there, but they can see him. They're trying to race. They're coming. All these other people, men and women, but mostly men, trying to run to the bulkhead, and they can't get ahead of the water. And he's telling them, you gotta shut the bulkhead now. If you don't shut it off, we're all gonna die. Shit happens. Dudes get cut off. Explosion. They get thrown around the room. Cut to black. They wake back up. Shit's busted up. And you're seeing her while she's nude. Or not, I wouldn't say nude, but in a state of undress. Flat as a goddamn cutting board. They then try to recollect themselves so they can make it to the next bulkhead because the structural integrity of the station's at 70%. They're going through it. They try to locate where the security pods are. They're on their way to go there, and they're having conversation and talking basic shit like, listen, it's not your fault. You had to do it. If you didn't do it, you wouldn't have saved us. And it's like, yeah, I know. And she's shaky and shit. This is the point in the film when I was watching it where I thought, well, this is gonna be interesting. I don't feel like this is a lot. But you get surprised because this is where it then tries to actually flesh this shit out. Because you'd think, oh, well, it's Kristen Stewart. Clearly her character's capable and knows everything. Not true. Her character's a mechanic. And she's more down to earth than you would think that she is. She's scared, and she's tired, and she's very exhausted. Kirsten Stewart, specifically her, because of what's going on. And I told you I would tell you why once we got to the broadcast. And it turns out, because of everything in the set, spoiler alerts everybody, everything in that film, if you do watch it, with the exception of the things that are obviously CGI, everything there is real. From the props, to the costumes, to the set pieces, to the destruction of sets. Real. And the reason why it's real is because Kirsten Stewart is deathly afraid of water because she has hydrophobia. She did not know that they were not going to use CGI. So, I want you to imagine how shit terrifyingly scared this little fucking woman is. With all these real things happening around her, that even though she knows it's fake, she's giving the performance of a lifetime. And it's lovely, and I love every single second of it. Because it's fucking good. A little bit of terror and sacrifice will make for a great performance. Die for your art, bitch. Die for your art. But, so, they're talking, and he's like, I'm just a dude. I just worked with the day crew. I don't normally see you. It's like, okay, that's cool. Come on, we'll be fine. We'll be okay. So they make their way, and they're going through the rubble, and they hear a voice calling out from underneath the rubble. And who else is it other than everybody's favorite funny guy, T.J. Miller? And he says what is my most favorite line in this film. And that line, go back to it, he's underneath the rubble, and they're talking. Nora is talking to his character. His character's name is Paul. And she's talking to Paul to try to get him out of the rubble. Because it's very clear over the course of the film, you begin to slowly get pieces and nuggets of the story from the environment. Because this does environmental storytelling very good. Clearly something went wrong. Something happened. And it's supposedly like it's just structural failures. It's just mechanical. Shit just happened. But no, it's very much like it's grimdark aliens. Or how did I phrase it earlier? It's grimdark the abyss plus aliens plus something else I said. But that plus that and Eldritch Horror. I'll get to the Eldritch Horror in a bit. But they get to him in the rock, and he says my favorite fucking line in the film, which is, Nora, is that you? Yeah, hello, hi. He's like, oh, you sweet, flat-chested elven creature. In a way that only T.J. Miller could deliver the line, and that made it for me. That made my entire night. So, Paul joins the group, and they start having to crawl underneath these collapsed hallways, where they're crawling over the bodies of all these dead people. And they actually show where like there's a woman who's crushed underneath the thing, who's supposed to be one of the more capable actors. You know, somebody who actually I think has more star power than I think Kristen Stewart herself at the time. Because this was made in 2017, but it was put on the shelf for 3 years because of the Disney merger. Again, thanks, Mickey. They crawl over the body to get to where the escape pods are, and they link up with the captain. And the captain, once she sees the captain, her character is just, oh my god, I can save him. I tried, and it's like, shut up. It's okay. It's like, but bitch, shut up. It's okay. Like, why didn't you get out of here? You have a family out there, and it's like, yeah, I have a family out there, but I'm a captain. This is what captains do. It turns out that he has a family, but his wife and him are divorced, and his daughter died when she was 14. This is stuff that's revealed in the future, but since I'm trying to hurry up the pace on this, they make it through, they link up with the captain, and then link up with 2 other people, which is JLongb0ne's character, who's supposed to be a research assistant, and the white guy. Literally, the white guy. And the thing about them is that they have a flirting thing going on back and forth. So, they go into the command center of where they're supposed to be in the Eagle's Nest, and they come up with a plan. Since all of the pods in their section of the station is gone, and it's under collapse, they're gonna deep dive into their scoots, and there's really good made suits, to go into the water and walk along the seafloor of the Mariana fucking Trench, to walk in the dark through these places with markers and lightings to make it to the Roebuck. When I was watching the film, I predicted that the Roebuck was supposed to be some kind of like station, but it turns out the Roebuck is a superpower drill, and it's an actual drill station that's managed the same way this one is. And they make it down there, they make it to the escape pods, and they use those to get up to the surface, since all the pods were already launched. The first problem with this plan is that it's very clear something's out there. So, they go ahead with their plan, they suit up, but during the suit up scene, you obviously get to see JLongb0ne chose to give all of the good helmets to everyone else, and he took a faulty one with a big ass crack. So, first up on the list to die was JLongb0ne. And it's the most, honestly, it was the most comedic shit, because you saw it coming. And it kind of works, because when you keep into context that this is supposed to be an Eldritch story, it makes sense. Because what would you do? Would you want to terrify people with the fact that this is going to happen? Would you want to stress them out with that knowledge? But at the same time, the way he died was just funny. Because they're trying to open up, they're going down the elevator after they do all the suits up. Also, they couldn't wear their normal clothes in the suits, so they have to skip down through the skeevies. I have to mention this because, again, this is another thing that Kristen Stewart was supposed to be promised. She didn't like it that she was in her bras and panties. She was supposed to have a skin sight water suit. They all were, but they just decided to run with it. Everybody had no problem with this except for her. And there is, of course, a T.J. Miller joke where he's suiting up and like half his underwear is chewed through or something. He puts on this faulty helmet and he doesn't tell anybody that it's gonna happen. And they're opening the doors to try and get to the outside of the station. The pressure starts to open and crack the obvious frame of the suit, and her character, Stewart's, tries to like, don't open the door, and they open the door, and all the cracks come in. His character closes his eyes and braces for his head to explode, and then he blows apart into like 50 billion pieces. And the way that they film it is that they film the explode, but then they do a pan out shot to where you see like this fucking cloud of water, blood, and guts appear. JLongb0ne is just screaming her fucking head off like a scream queen. And the way that they film this camera angle is Kristen Stewart walks through the mush of his body. A gauntlet hand from the broken suit clangs off the head of her helmet, and she's just like shell-shocked stumbling through the fucking Gibbs. And I couldn't stop laughing because it felt like they did that on purpose. So they get out to the outside of the station. Now there's 5 of them left. They get out to the side of the station, They make it into this like drop barge that's supposed to be going up and down this cable line. Get inside of it. They start trying to talk about it. It's like, listen, he knew what was gonna happen. He knew that he had a faulty suit, but it's okay. We can keep moving forward. They get to a part where they tried to find a distress signal of one of those 28 different pods that were released. It's crashed outside, shit's eerie and shit, and it's very much a setup to try and explain the biology of the creatures attacking them. I'll save that towards the end of it. I know we've really got time, trying to rush it. Shit happens. They get attacked. They can't see what it is. They don't know what's attacking them. They look at the biology of the small creature that comes out of the very obvious jump scare involving TJ Miller. Nobody died from it, though. They find the creatures, it's a new form of life. We might have dug too deep. We shouldn't have drilled too far. We drilled too far. Nature's taking from us, and now it's taking back. Shit continues to go on, and they try to make their way with their plan to make it to the midway station to refuel their ship, but they get attacked again. People getting drugged under, people getting hurt and maimed. Suddenly, now, another person gets killed, and it's TJ Miller's character. Because they make it to their halfway point, and they're trying to get through, where they're realizing, oh, all of these things, people were seeing this happen. This wasn't just her side of the station. Everything was happening all at once. So there's more deaths than could be predicted. They get into this underwater passage, and they're trying to get through. They all go in through this passage, with Stuart going first because she's the smallest, and then everybody else following afterwards, and then TJ Miller's character comes in through the back end. Before this scene, he ends up giving his shit to a dude to hold because he was scared and he didn't have something to hold on to. What happened was is that they were going through and he was giving them his a little doll that he carries with him called Little Paul, and it's like a small little kangaroo creature thing. He hands it to them after they go through because this is basically like his morality pet, and he's trying to undo his line so they can pull him back up. His line snags on something because there was some, literally quote, some Slender Man shit going on back there. Oh, they name check shit. He gets pulled under because he starts going under, so they put his helmet back on. And very clearly, whoever made this film was either watching or kinda was on the casting or on the crew doing the editing for It Chapter 2. Because what happens next is, again, another comical death, because this is now TJ Miller's death. His head pops like a fucking balloon, but not in the same way that that kid's head got popped like a fucking baby tomato. The creature is pulling him down by his leg. But the way that it's pulling him down, it looks as though it's like pulling him out of his suit. Which doesn't make sense, because it has a hold of his leg. If it was pulling on his leg on the outside of the suit, it wouldn't be literally pulling his actual leg on the inside of the suit. But whatever. It pulls him by his leg and it's pulling him under, and it gets to a point where it literally breaks his leg to pull him out of the suit, and his head pops like a fucking watermelon. Seen later, it confirms it pulled him out of its suit. What the fuck could pull him out of his suit like this? And everybody's obviously shaken up and riled. Now it's a count of 4. And something happens in the next scene that damages the breather on the one white guy. So now they need to carry him like dead weight, otherwise he'll be poisoned by his CO2 emissions inside of his suit. So then, they start getting actively attacked by these sea creatures. There's one shot of this that really makes it clear that a lot of care went into the CGI of this. Because they actually get to see the creature. It's a very well shot scene. Because they build this as a horror film, and it wasn't horror to me. It wasn't scary until this scene, where the monsters they're ugly, hideous creatures because it's Eldritch horror. But this ugly ass creature moving in the dark, trying to stay out of sight, pulling people away and pulling them out of the pack, and preying on the fact that they need the light to see and they don't. You know, it's some actual scary shit. Entire section happens before this scene that I'm thinking of in question, where they pull the dude out of the dark and he was having problem breathing to begin with. They had to retrieve him from the creatures and they were able to get him back. But they get attacked by another creature, and it's Stuart and this creature is attacking her while she's trying to help her captain. And it goes around the scene, tries to stay out of sight, and then gets into sight of the camera, walks up to Stuart, who's petrified in fear, because I think they did like one part CGI, one part practical for this, and the way that the suit actor was moving was just that scary, or she was just that petrified under the water because she was supposed to be terrified and she was just doing her job. But through either fault of hers, her terror, or the acting in question, fucking scene of this creature coming up, leaping towards her, then putting its hands on either side of her body, and then trying to swallow her face whole. Cinematic gold. Every sound that came out of her mouth was making love to the camera. Then that same creature lifts her and the captain up and tries to take them up too fast so that their suits break. The captain is not going to make it. The creature got a hold of him. So he tells her to let go. You see the cracks starting to form in the face of the mask. And she's like, no, I know I can't do that. And he's like, no, you have to let me go. So he fucking X-nays himself. He goes up too fast, and he gets to the point, his suit literally explodes. Fade to black. She wake up from black. She's unconscious. She can't find Colleen and the white guy, which are now the only three left, so she assumes that they're dead. And you do too, by the way that it's cut, because she's starting to run out of oxygen in her suit. Earlier in their plan scene, they talk about this waypoint station that's out of the way, that's supposed to be scrapped and abandoned with nothing being there. And we learn details about both her and the captain, like the captain had been with the company before it was purchased by this JLongb0ne knockoff called the Tian Corporation, and that the girl that he had mentioned, the daughter that he had, and saying that she was 14 in a scene where he's talking to Colleen, who is deathly terrified of everything, including this, and he's just trying to make small talk, and it just comes up that he had a daughter, and that she should have, that he says the number 14. And Stuart says, no, she couldn't be 14. She'd be like my age right now, right? And he's like, yeah, 14. I don't know why I said that. And it turns out, oh, his daughter died when she was 14. And the reason he's divorced is because it had something to do with him being so committed to his job that he couldn't pay attention. And he wasn't there or something. That and Nora was with the captain, not with the captain sexually, but knew the captain and was working on a job when her fiancé went out diving by himself, was pulled under the waves, and was never seen again while she was working this job too, which is suspected to be linked to the things happening in the movie, but they didn't make that clear until afterwards, because there's like ARG type information that you would have gotten from a film like this, like Cloverfield. All of those details start to come together as she makes it to the station. She gets there, she takes a shower to try and right her head, because she's been so oxygen deprived that she's just mentally broken at this point, down in the dumps and depressed and shit. She finds a new suit to replace her old suit, since her old helmet is now basically getting ruined and she has a new suit to wear entirely. So this might be the suit that she injured her arm in. I don't know. It's at this point, when she's going out here and continuing with the plan to at least save herself and survive, that she ends up coming across Colleen and the white guy, where he is still running out of his oxygen, and she's ranting herself about, I needed you to know that I loved you. Did you know that? Like, I just needed you to know before anything happens. And she's running off into the dark because she hears her on the radio talking to her. I think the character's name is not Nora. Shit, I can't remember what the character's name is. But she's running towards Colleen. And she's like, hey, is that you? Are you there? And she actually sees them, and the other character is clearly fucking delirious. Because this is after TJ dies, all sense of joy leaves this fucking film entirely. She is running towards him. She is obviously delirious, because she thinks she's hearing a hallucination. And she's like, literally, it's like a meme, almost. Everything in this film could work as a meme, but this really does, because it's like she's talking to her clearly and directly, where she's obviously hysterical, and it's like, hey, I'm right here, listen, like, open your eyes, I'm right here, just open your eyes. He's like, what, Nora? I thought you were dead! So now they've linked back up again. He's still running out of oxygen, but they have gone so far that they have finally done the plan. They've followed the light markers, and they have made it to the Roebuck, but it is surrounded by hundreds of thousands of these fucking creatures. So much so, it's like a school of jellyfish, almost. It's just a couple of inches between them and the door. and they're trying to slowly make their way through the field of them, and like the face and or hand of one of these creatures flops down on Stuart's helmet, and she's like, "Hey, run for the door. No, listen to me. Listen to me. Don't panic. Don't panic. Run for the door. Run for the door. Run for the door." And it obviously becomes like an impassionate fight scene. Earlier, back in the waypoint station that she stopped at by herself, her character picks up a flare gun that she got along with the new suit. The beast, the creature tries to swallow. It wasn't the same creature, but the creature tries to swallow her again, which just gives her the chance to shoot it with a flare gun. She only has 2 of them. Now she has 1. This wakes up the rest of the creatures around her, and she gets fucking mauled and swarmed by them, but somehow survives. I don't know it. I don't follow the logic of it either, but okay. She's now on low oxygen, and the other girl, is dragging her inside because now she's literally dying of oxygen deprivation. So the girl takes a fire extinguisher and starts bashing it against the face of her suit so she can get the helmet to get air for her to breathe in. Because she couldn't get the helmet off. She didn't know how to. She's the only member of the crew that had never dove with the suits and didn't understand anything about them. So now, everybody's suits are broken. Ain't nobody going back in the water. This is the climactic end of the film. They're now inside of the robot station. And they get to see what actually is causing everything. And that is when we learn the thing that is spawning these creatures is Cthulhu. Actually Cthulhu. Unironically, Cthulhu. And then we learn that all of the people who were in pods were hunted down and killed by these sea creatures. Because this is Cthulhu rising to come fucking kill everybody from the left. It's not bad animation. Pretty good CGI. Very good facial structure articulation. And even though it never says a single fucking word, it seems to be able to sense or hear, however it's hearing, whatever the characters are doing. So, like, once they get into the station, and they try to turn on the pods and shit, and try to figure out where everything is, the directory to get into the main room, there's this giant window in front of the console where they are. And they turn around, and they see Cthulhu out in the fucking distance, pulling away all these creatures, and taking a good look at them. And then it becomes a, no, you're not getting away from me kind of situation, where they run to the left, boom, crash it, hole breach, breach contain, doors shutting in front of them, run to the other side of the room, breaks that one too, almost like it's laughing and enjoying watching them despair. Then they walk into the other pod room that they can have access to. There's 3 pods, but one of them is broken, and they wouldn't have enough time to fix it in order to follow up. So Nora, being the only person who realizes this, sees that this other pod is broken, but tells them, "Yeah, do we have enough pods for all 3 of us?" And he's like, yeah, we do. And because she was paying attention to shit happening between the white guy and Colleen, she sends both of them up herself, sending the white guy up first because he would be the only person who would know how to work the pod, and he doesn't want him to be here to stop her from sacrificing herself. Then, after sending him up, and them having their goodbyes, because this is where it starts the sob story, where it's like the girl's saying, "Oh, you need to stay alive. You need to stay alive, and you got a long life ahead of you, mister." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna see you on the other side." Sends her up, and then Colleen's getting into her pod, and she's like, "Yeah, you sure you got enough for the pod, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, totally." And she suspects that something's up, and it's like, "What's wrong with the pod?" It's like, "Don't worry, get in the pod." Like, no, I want to see. Get in the fucking pod. It's like, "No, you fucking lied to me. You fucking lied." And then she fucking sucker punches Colleen in the goddamn face. She falls back in the pod. Not hard or anything, but it's like, punches her in her face. It's like, no, easy. And she's like, you better make it fucking up after us. And it's like, yeah, I will. Sends her up in the pod too. And this is where the narration kicks back in with some bullshit about the moment of terror and fear can take you, but it's only just a moment. You still have to start acting. But this is the part of the film that actually fucking works for me most of all, especially once you realize, because I realized in the middle of it, right around when TJ Miller gets killed, oh, this is an Eldritch Abomination story. Because it just didn't make sense as, like, a horror story, unless the horror is, like, a horror from the deep, which I feel like they tried to sell it as. I didn't see anything in marketing for this film, but it very much is the kind of underwater story, isolated from help, you have no one to help you, you're kind of fucked anyways kind of situation. Which is what made me think Grimdark the Abyss. You know, what if the aliens of Abyss were not in peace? Shit like that. But the final act, or I guess the final minutes on this film, start playing out. She sends up the last pod, and she's sitting in the command console of the Roebuck, waiting for the end to happen. But the problem is, Cthulhu notices that the 2 pods are escaping. So, he just shits out a couple of babies from its back, because that's how that works. That's actually how that's supposed to work. It's really weird how good they got it, even if it is a loose adaptation of the Call of Cthulhu. It shits out some babies from the back, and the mer creatures are swimming up to go intercept the pod the way that it intercepted the other pods, which you kind of infer based on how the first pod was destroyed earlier and how now this is happening here. And it has a little indicator on the screen that the pod is gonna that the elevation of the pod is going away from the station and how many bogies are following after it. And Kristen Stewart, early in the film, inside of the station, when they're talking about the plan, they talk about the core of the station being unstable. That all of the cores have all of this energy that are now under these safety precautions to restrain the energy from exploding. Because there's a whole bunch of energy with nowhere to go. So in her final moments, she sets the station of the Roebuck and all other places within the area to blow. From the way that it was framed, it looked like it was just the Roebuck station, because it's this giant, massive 8-ton drill that's drawing up and drilling trillions upon trillions of dirt to dig in the trench. And the way that the film plays out, it feels as though the Tian Corporation did it on purpose, not because they didn't know that the creatures were there, but because they did know and they wanted to awaken them. Maybe on some alien shit where they're trying to actually harness the power of Cthulhu. I don't know. But in this film, towards the ending, she overloads the bomb, or overloads the station to make it a bomb. And now it's like, she looks over at Cthulhu, and Cthulhu looks confused as shit. And then his eyes get real big, and she's like, you got 60 seconds. And Cthulhu, shit you not, tries to swim away, falling over itself. It gets caught in the blast, but it's not confirmed dead, because that's not how Cthulhu works. It would be putting an eldritch creature in a state of torpor. It's neither material, neither is it alive or dead. It's just there. So, by the view of what it looks like she killed Cthulhu, but that's not what actually happened. But that's what the story wants you to believe. Sets a bomb, blows herself up, blows up Cthulhu, and then it cuts to this to the frame of her inside the station as the water is flooding in, and her with her eyes closed, then opening them up as the water is going to engulf and surround her when she gets crushed by the water. You never see her actually die, but you know she's dead. You know, one of those glamour shot deaths. Then the movie ends, but then it gets you a credit roll of, like, newspaper clippings. 2 survivors found alive from the Tian drill incident. No one knows anything. Corporation will not respond for information and knowledge. We will not comment on when anything happens. We will go back to drilling immediately. Still no information given. So it leaves it on an open end for a potential sequel, if it gets a sequel, or maybe a stealth sequel or something. There are so many things about this film that I loved. I love the fact that no matter what fucking marketing they had for this film, they allowed the actors to act. T.J. Miller and Stewart might as well have been banging in this film, and I still would have watched it. Their screen presence made me give a shit. It felt like somewhere between the Thing prequel and Deadpool, T.J. Miller gained the ability to be a half-decent actor. Weird as shit! Weird as shit. Stewart was a really good treat to watch in this film, mainly because of knowing in context that she was terrified for her life in every single scene, makes her performance believable. She is behaving like she should in this scenario, unlike how her character behaves in Charlie's Angels 2020. Her character is not obnoxious. Her character is not a know-it-all. There are things that she knows how to do. She's capable enough to be handy to be able to reset a breaker. Because earlier in the scene, when she's trying to close the bulkhead, the other guy, he doesn't know how to get into the console. She does. So she resets the console, and it just does it in the nick of time to be able to get the shit to work before they have to close it on the other dudes. She is personable. She has an actual personality. She's not just pouting at the camera all the time. She has more than one face for her emotions. That's the best thing. And at no time did I have to be reminded, this is Kirsten Stewart. It was just, here's an actress scared shitless for her life. Because she thinks every time her suit malfunctions, or every time something happens in the background, it's happening for real. From beginning to end, I would give it a 96% rating on good. Not the best film. There are mistakes. There are things that don't work. Not every zinger that comes out of TJ's mouth is a winner. He's kind of hit and miss. But when he's doing his job, being the loudmouth who's like trying to express how the audience would think they should feel in the situation, he does his job. The white guy didn't have character. He had no screen presence whatsoever. It was just a write-in love story. Anybody could have done his job. Colleen's character was confusing. Her character was supposed to be given like this weird British Columbian accent, but then half the time she dropped it and sounded American as fuck. So I don't know what they were doing there. Maybe her character was supposed to be from like India or something, but she did not speak with an Indian accent. So I thought, so she's a fucking bit wrong. She's just from England, and she's just gonna talk like this all film. And then she like chooses to say words as though she's English, but then speaks like an American. Where it's like she's having a full sentence conversation with someone. Where it's like, I've never done diving before. I've never done this. But then when somebody refers to her as like, I don't even know who the fuck people are here. She's like, I'm a research assistant. It's like, what accent are you going with? Who are you right now? Pick one, bitch. Pick one. Small little nitpicks. Small little nitpicks that made me think questions that I shouldn't have thought on the broadcast. Or as I was watching it. Small little nitpicks that they're not big problems, but they add up over time. There's a lot of darkness in this film. So much so that when characters are dying, if you don't understand what's happening in the scene, they don't make sense. TJ's death didn't make sense. A couple of the times when you're not supposed to see the fish, you're kind of like, come on, when you're gonna show the creature. The first fake out jump scare, that was annoying as shit, super annoying, because they didn't just do it once, they did it twice. They had a fake out jump scare where the actual danger was not the thing that's in the room with them, but rather their environment around them. It makes sense. The station is falling apart. Of course, the clutter and debris is gonna fall down and hit them. But it felt contrived at points where it's like, oh, he just happened to have his air filter break, so that his rebreather wouldn't work. So now he has to be made useless for the film so that this thing can happen. I felt that might have been the reason why. I don't know why they chose to make that character as useless as they did. Because it felt like he was just there to be a love interest that makes it through the end. I don't know if they're gonna become recurring characters in the future, if this has a sequel. But the characters did not get fleshed out. Not all of them were supposed to. I feel that is okay. It's supposed to be a film where anybody can die. And even knowing that her character dies at the end is a bit of a downer, because she did so well. I'd want to see more from her in this, but it's not necessary because she did her job. But the characters not being fleshed out is a problem. People have backstories that are not told about. We don't learn enough about the black guy's character. I think his name was Rodrigo. We don't learn anything about Rodrigo other than he was a member of the day crew, because he is introduced and then dies just as quick. We never learned anything about what was happening on the station before. None of that is made clear. Everybody has a role. They have rapport with each other. But then we're crawling over these dead bodies of people that they're supposed to have rapport with, and it's like, oh, I would have loved to have learned and seen that person interact with them or something. You know, it's like there's a little bit of the film missing. Like there's a before stage before all this happens. Like some corporate background scene that should have been like, is the process on the drill still going through? We're almost going to hit the bottom of the Robux, sir, but I think there's something down there that's like, I didn't ask you that. I said, is the progress continuing? Yes, sir, but don't you think we should be worried about hitting something down there? Oh, no, Jeeves. I just imagined the character's name to be Jeeves. No, Jeeves. I'm not scared of hitting the bottom. I'm excited to see what we hit. You know, we're missing one of those kinds of scenes where we see the ominous corporation because we have no interaction with any other characters in this setting. It is just underwater the entire time. The environment is foreboding. It's important for the foreboding. It sets up any of this working in the first place. But it feels like it's kind of a sort of incomplete film. It does what it's supposed to do, but it could be fleshed out. There could be some backstory. There could be a special featurette of like life on the station. You know? Something to make these characters feel more like they're people rather than people who are being set up to die in this grimdark story where Cthulhu is almost gonna kill the surface world but then gets blown up by Kirsten Stewart. I don't know if that's something they had to cut out. I don't know if it's because it was pre-decided and it's from 2017, they didn't go back and do reshoots. I don't know if it's because they had already wrapped on it and they decided, yo, the film is complete and finished, just put it out there, and then they put it on the shelf, and then they never went back and did it. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure, but I do know what I do know, and the things that I know about the film make it better for me in that regard. I would suggest it to people to watch. You might not like it. Give it a chance if you can. If you can't sit through it, I don't blame you. But it is a film that should have been put out earlier than this. We should have gotten this in 2017. We probably should have gotten this in 2018. It probably would have been a bigger box office success if it did. It did not make enough money to make back its budget, so it's a critical bomb. But it's a cult classic. I see this being a part of her filmography that people are going to look back on and say, oh, God, remember her from Twilight? Yeah, oh my God, remember what she did from Snow White and the Huntress? Or Hunter? But, yeah, but do you remember that one film she did in Underwater? That was great. Yeah, that was great. It's going to be one of those films for her, you know? But that's the end. That's the end of my thing. If you have any thoughts you'd like to send to that, go ahead. If you gotta go, we're just going to cut it there.
Well, it sounds pretty good, and I might check it out. But yeah, I gotta go.
All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you, Jay, for coming back.
Yeah.
Hope to have you on again and see it again.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me, and yeah, I'll probably come back on
Yay.
here. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.